Hey guys, what's up? What is up? We have another show, the Power Up Podcast. Lots of insane things happening all around the world. But yeah, how you guys doing? I am tired. Usually when I get home from work, hit that gym right away and then wolf down some food and then immediately try to start to do a show. I need to train my body to wake up earlier and be energized enough to do stuff. Although I can never tell if working out in the morning is better than in the afternoon. I know in the afternoon you feel a lot more loose, if you catch my drift. But yes, it's also June 1st. Happy Sodom and Gomorrah month. Get ready for that for a month of fun with that garbage. As if they don't already have enough days. Mostly because it's been made 365. And then they need one specific month to really push it. And then you got your, Memorial Day, 24 hours. Whatever. But how are you guys doing? I found some topics that we'll be talking about. Joe should be joining us here shortly. But a lot of Spider-Man, what is it? Enter the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse, whatever. It doesn't matter because I don't really care about that. But there's some fun stuff that we can look into and see what's up. And then one of the funniest things that I thought I saw, well, not that I thought I saw, I did see it. One of the things that got me giggling was, what's his name? David Leavitt. He was just going bananas over the Magic the Gathering artwork for the Lord of the Rings edition. How they just, race swapped Aragorn. Man, that guy was slapping the old racism word on every comment that made a response to his original post. It was hilarious. I responded to that tweet with Norm MacDonald, where he's like, well, it's like the alarming, someone found the word of the day. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Let's bring him on. What up, fool?
What up, man? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, doing good. It's been a while. How are things going for you?
Oh, not too shabby. Kind of just been, like when you have a huge to-do list where it's like 2 months worth of fucking work. You're gonna tear your hair out 'cause you don't have that
Yeah.
much time. I got that kind of a list narrowed down to 6 or 7 things that I could probably do in 2 nights. So I'm feeling much better now that the weight of just crap I have to do that I don't want to deal with is finally out of the way. So
I hear that. Yeah. Dude, I feel you. I just got over that weird tension headache bullshit finally. That was
did
not fun. What's up?
were the doctors able to kind of get you in the right direction, or was it just something where you did enough things where finally something started to work?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of the two. It was definitely okay, I've tried the natural route enough. Big Pharma's got me. Give me some medicine because I'm getting tired of this. Because even the guy was like, yeah, you'll one day feel good at certain times, and then all of a sudden just have it creep back up. So he's like, yeah, we'll get you some meds to take care of that, and then just kind of also trying to decompress and all that stuff.
Oh, I get it, man. I've had maybe 2 headaches in my life where the headache spiraled bad enough that I was like, I'm going to the emergency room because this is literally I can't. I think I might be dying. It was that level bad. It only happened twice, but when you get bad enough tension headaches, they draw that line sometimes where you're not sure if it's
Mhm.
just the headache or if this is something new and you're fucked. So it is. It can be a little scary, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that one, luckily, I went there and I explained it, and they were like, "Well," because they would be like, "Okay, like, how's your vision?" and stuff like that. I'm like, "I feel maybe my eyesight is a little bit more sensitive," sort of thing, but they were like, "Do you, like, feel nausea or anything?" I'm like, "No, I never felt, like, nauseated or anything." Um, which could have been easily, like, an ear infection as well, because if you're like
Sure.
hunched over doing something and get back up, you can kind of spin around and stuff like that. But like definitely like tension in the neck. And they're like, yeah, I think you developed headache tensions just from like some sort of stress. I was like, oh yeah, there was a lot of garbage happening that I thought I was handling it well, but I guess I subconsciously was just like, I hate everything sort of
Yeah,
thing. So they gave me
dude.
like some muscle relaxers, and then they're like, here's stuff for the headache too. Like it's like obviously you could have gotten the over the counter stuff, but this stuff is a little bit more powerful. I was like, thank you. So went to a chiropractor, got adjusted, and then I went to the eye doctor, and luckily my eyes, like, nothing changed there. I haven't been there for a long ass time, but luckily nothing changed there. And then I just got my physical today, and it was like, oh yeah, your lab reports are fine. And I was like, really? Like, even with my cholesterol since doing the keto, which I've heard, when you do it enough, it rebalances everything out, like
Mhm.
with like the high cholesterol and stuff like that. So I think I was just super stressed out.
Oh man, that'll do it. And I think
Mhm,
any adult knows that. Even if you're a young adult, like
mhm,
if every day turns into a constant pain in the ass where you never get any relief, yeah, you're
mhm.
gonna start getting nasty headaches after a while. And I mean,
Yeah, it was
imagine if you live in the Middle East or something where you grew up getting
jeez.
everything bombed out all the time. You'd be like, I've had a headache for fucking 20 years now and
Yeah.
it won't go away. So now I'm a terrorist.
Oh, jeez. Nonsense, nonsense. We've got
Hey,
Chaos, we got Alfarius over on YouTube. What's up, guys? Chaos smash this dumbass, identified, eradicate, very rude.
being
Alfarius says, "Sup,
eradicated here.
fellas? What up, guy?" And then we got 4 people over on Rumble. What's up, homies? Yeah,
Howdy,
so
Rumble.
what's up?
I said howdy, Rumble folks.
Oh, okay. Very cool, very cool. I did watch that TikTok. That was insane.
Little strange. Like I think it's probably, and this is just like the rational side of me. There
Mhm.
might be some rational explanation that's more in the realm of like, well, this is the effing White House. You know, like
Yeah.
there's going to be weird things around it that are just us doing
Yeah.
it. You know, someone in the government. But at the same time, it's very strange. I'm sure we can get to that whenever you
Yeah,
feel like.
we'll get to that to whenever. But yeah, I was just going over kind of like the stuff, wishing everyone a happy Sodom and Gomorrah month. Because
Oh my!
we're gonna be hearing a lot about that stuff.
You
And
won't hear about it from my company. I'll tell you that right right now. We ain't we ain't no fucking Chick-fil-A. Throw it in the towel. It won't happen at the
oh
toe.
oh yeah, I saw that. That was like some people were saying like when you watch the full context, like it kind of explains it and like a little bit more. I didn't really bother like looking too deep into it because I really don't care.
I don't either. We're at a point in society where like, yeah, you can boycott Budweiser. That's fine. I don't care. You can not buy a lot of things. Most of it's stuff I don't buy to begin with, so it's not a huge concern for me.
Hmm.
But like normies don't really pay as close attention to this stuff as like internet culture does. So yeah,
Yeah.
you saw a big dip with some things, but I think stuff like Chick-fil-A, it's going to take the actual restaurant service going down. Like
Yeah.
people are just going to get, as long as the food and the service is 110% like we're used to from Chick-fil-A's, they will still succeed just fine because white ladies love Chick-fil-A. But you know, um,
Yeah.
Until the service goes down the can or their standards start dropping. I don't see anyone letting up on eating their Chick-fil-A. It's not like Bud Light where you're like, well, I can live without Bud Light. It kind of sucks anyways. Like people already have a intense love for Chick-fil-A.
Hmm. I never really understood the whole, like, honestly, really the super boycott like method of, like, I understand the concept and definitely do support the idea of, like, speaking with your wallet to where it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I don't like what you're doing, so I'm just not gonna buy it.
Hmm.
I guess part of me is like, I have too much stuff that I would like to do with my life than to add something like I'm going to avoid buying these products or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just not big on the priority list for some of us. Like I get it, the
Mhm,
culture war, all that. Like I don't like a lot of this stuff too. But if we can't help ourselves, we're literally of no use to this
mhm,
culture war. It's kind of like a person down on the ground, sick and dying, and they're still trying to give like CPR to a guy that's basically okay. It's like you're the one that's sick and dying. Stop trying to give CPR to the guy that's okay. Go get yourself fixed. Then you can come back and help other people. Like get
mhm.
your own shit in order. So like until I'm at a certain point in life, I'm not gonna like stress too hard over things. And I think sometimes like a lot of especially YouTubers, like they forget to remind their audience, and I understand why, because they're trying to make money off the stuff at the same time, which is fine.
Mhm.
Um, they forget to remind their audience because these days the ages are so all over the place of who would be a listener to our little circle of the internet. Some people don't they haven't lived long enough to realize like this stuff comes and goes in phases. Like it's like you saw these weird stuff going on during Clinton era. You know,
Mhm.
Waco, Texas, Ruby Ridge. You saw this horrible overreach of the government and getting involved with the news media and all that stuff, like getting out of hand. And then the minute George Bush got in office, you saw it kind of tame down in that regard. Like other things got worse for sure, but those particular things um, kind of eased off, and there was less of that kind of stuff coming up for almost 10 years. It was kind of a non-issue thing. So we'll see what happens. It's tough because like one person's not going to like change everything overnight. We can do our
Yeah.
best to be supportive and do our best to live our lives properly, but
Mhm.
at the same time, this stuff's going to come and go. We get waves of there's even like political fads in the government, like we see now, where like these New York and Chicago governors, no or mayors, not governors. That wouldn't even make sense. But the mayors, they know good and well, like the things they're saying are completely retarded. But they'll still say them like, no, a man dressed as a woman is a woman. It's like, but you just said a man dressed as. Like you've got to. You guys are just saying
Mhm.
this stuff to tip to say in your circle right now. So
Yeah.
they'll think of something new. It's I'll tell you this: if I go back, I think somewhere in my Facebook, if I dug up the post, because I hardly use Facebook,
Mhm.
uh, a little after gay marriage got cleared through the Supreme Court, I said on my Facebook, this is going to lead to a slippery slope of people trying to push pedophilia and get us to accept pedophilia. And
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
absolutely.
all words that'll start up in 5 years or less. Didn't
Mhm.
even make it 5 years. It was literally like 2.5 years later, and Salon Magazine was writing leftist articles where
Mhm.
they were letting pedos come in and write the article about the pedo experience. I'm a non-offending pedo. Here's my life experience. Feel bad for me. I'm not a monster. Like shit like that. So I was just like, good lord, we didn't make it 5 years from my statement, which was my estimate. It was like 2 years later, two and a half
I'm
years later.
I just love that idea of, "I'm not a monster, now give me that kid."
Exactly. Exactly.
Jeez.
Well, they feel like they can pressure people into
Mhm.
not seeing through it. When it's like, no, we all see through it. Even if some people just
Mhm.
lie to your face to get by in their life so they can get away from certain circumstance, no
Mhm.
one's down with this stuff. No rational adult. And I don't even think you got to have kids like for this kind of a thing to just burn deep in your soul and make you angry. Like
No, yeah, I
people,
agree. I
yeah,
100% agree with that one. I just don't get it. I literally do not understand the concept of leave kids alone. Like, why is it immediately that it's like, oh, I want to share my story and show, how to be like inclusive and love one another and stuff like that. Why is it your gut response to go to the kids?
Exactly.
Like,
And we
why
know
don't you
why.
just go to other fellow adults? you know,
Yeah,
Makes no sense. Well, it does make sense because they're
it does.
monsters. That's
But they
that's
play dumb
the
about
reason.
it. That's what's insulting. They play dumb like we're the
Yeah.
ones irrational or crazy. It's like, no, we're the people that don't touch children inappropriately. You're the people that do.
Mhm.
So stop trying to convince me you're harmless. You're not. You're disgusting.
Mhm. Yeah, I've said it before. It's going to be a matter of time where that one guy, that one freak is going to piss off that one dad who will not give a shit and will like do the most heinous thing to that person, probably resulting in death and display the body to make a point. And it's like we're done. We're not talking anymore. Sort of thing. It's going to happen. When
It
it's going to
will.
happen, no idea, but there yeah, can only poke
There's
the bear
always
so much.
there's always societal snap points, and
Yep.
and I get that in the past there were times where you could not even like pedophilia, but like people would just be so poor and had tons of kids they would sell one of their kids, or
Mm,
old ancient times where it wasn't unusual for kids to be sold into slavery. I get that the stuff's always happened, but
mhm,
we're civilized. We're supposed to stop this stuff now.
mhm.
We're not the heathens of days past.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Well,
are
and
in a lot of ways, but we're
you
not
know,
supposed to. You know.
yeah, no, yeah. The slavery of the kids things, that's one thing, yeah. But even with a lot of the like going back to the biblical stuff and talking about, the Bible talks a lot about using the symbolism of slavery and stuff like that, and even talking about slavery. But a lot of that was people that were like, oh shit, I borrowed money from you. Yeah, I can't pay you back. Well, I guess I'm going to be your slave and work for it. And
Yeah.
that's majority of what happened. And then some people will finish paying off their debt and go, shit, this life was actually way better than my other life. I'll just be in service for you forever. And then, they would nail the the symbol through the ear to the post to showcase that that guy was a bond servant, that he chose to be that way. And they got
Yeah.
treated well too. Alfarius
Well,
says it
I
still
think I
happens in
think
Eastern Europe
sometimes.
and Southeast Asia and the countries no one can name. Yep. You
Oh, for
don't see
sure.
these people going over there and telling about how inhumane it is and stuff like that.
Yeah. No one cares about the slave markets all over. Oh, where was it? Where Gaddafi, his country he used to run. Um, is it Libya?
Mm,
Before he got ousted by the Clintons and other
no,
Democrats.
I don't
But
know.
in
My
there.
con- my Clinton info is very low, aside from Hillary and is a devil.
Well, Gaddafi
Libya.
had kind of like,
Alfarius
yeah,
says that Libya.
yeah. Well, he took Libya kind of like out of the Stone Age and got them back in a really good position. I mean, don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, no government's perfect, but by our standards, it damn near was. Like the way he treated his citizens, the way he hooked them up. Like you had like there was a point where every new married couple got a bar of gold from the government. It was just a gift for getting married and starting a family.
Mm,
You
that'd
got
be
you got
nice.
the government paid all your leave when you had kids. Like you got a steady paycheck if you were making babies and trying to raise a normal family. He just basically he took all the wealth that was buried in the ground of that country in terms of minerals,
Mm,
resources, whatever he had, and made sure everyone got a piece of the pie. And subsequently, it was turning that country into a pretty middle class, by our standards, place to live without a bunch of harsh Sharia law coming down on you. You could just kind of live a normal life. And then that they couldn't have that when they found out about the amount of yeah, that's a good point too. He wanted to leave the dollar and go back to the gold standard. And basically, when he really started to push that, you saw Hillary just drooling at the mouth to get rid of him, and they did. They caused a whole upheaval in his country and hunted him
yeah.
down just like Saddam Hussein. And it was terrible what they did to that guy because all he was doing was looking out for the best interest of his people and not in like an immoral way. It
Yeah.
was It was very by the book, and that's why they hated him, because they had nothing on him. His record was relatively spotless, and he led a
Mhm.
peaceful military coup to get that country in shape. He didn't even have to lead a violent revolt. It was just like, okay, this is what we're going to do, and everyone's like, yeah, Gaddafi's pretty cool. Let's do this. So, but we don't need to go through that forever. We'll save
Oh,
that for
that's all
conspiracy.
right. That's all right. We'll start off hot here by saying, if you guys haven't already, check out Death, Death, Death by this man
Oh,
right underneath my camera. They'll get the giant J. We got Death,
yeah.
Death, Death. We have broke over 85K, and we're trying to get up to 100K. But I believe you recently announced on Twitter, Joe, that we are slowly coming to where the Indiegogo is going to be closed, just because of another project in the works, Swarm.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I made that decision that if it hadn't reached 100K by time
Hmm.
Swarm launches, which I believe Shane's wanting to launch around July,
Hmm.
um, I would just shut her down and call it a day. But
Okay.
that too, like I'll get my like last payouts because Indiegogo holds a certain amount of the money.
Yeah,
On
I get
hand, I think they hold about like 8 to 10%. So there's still a whole nother chunk of money you cannot get until you literally close the
you.
campaign
Yeah,
out.
I get you for
Um,
sure.
yeah,
Good.
TikTok is right. Omegon. Omegon. I'm working my butt off, dude. This book's gonna kill me. The title's gonna be so appropriate.
Oh, geez.
But
Oh, Ferry says already got it. Still waiting. TikTok, Joe. Yeah, but the 100K was just like something you just wanted to see if you could get there.
yeah, would have
Okay.
just been cool to see the six figures. It's
Yeah,
fun
yeah, for
practice,
sure.
but I
Mhm.
might do like a big push like the week or 2 weeks before I close it. So
Yeah,
try to hit a bunch
absolutely.
of shows and stuff like that and see if I can get it there.
Hmm.
Um, even though I don't really want to. Like it's YouTube eats up a lot of time when you have to do it a lot. That's why you guys don't always see me around a lot, is because like
Oh yeah.
I'm just so busy and I'm so weighed down with the amount of work I have to do as it is that it's like sometimes it's hard to just get my brain in mode to attempt to be entertaining or say something funny. It's like you're gonna sound like such a whiny, complainy bitch tonight if you even bother trying to
Oh,
do a
you're
show. So
you're fine. You're fine.
I mean, I
You're
haven't even
good.
been making hardline for the last couple weeks. Like it's been tough. Like all the shows I generally always do, I've been so bad about for like a month. So just got to get my
Yeah.
act together. Got to get in gear.
Oh,
I'm an old man now, so
Farius is saying get on with Rennie and Phil.
I can if I want. We'll see.
We'll see. But anybody that hasn't already, feel free to check it out. I think it's going to be amazing. You got as it says, a sci-fi fantasy graphic novel about the family unit, survival, and horror. And then you got
Or
your different tiers. What's up?
I'm just laughing because
Oh, this.
hang on.
Oh no, he's dying. Don't die, Joe.
It sounded like you said whore, and I was like, how funny would that be? The description said comic book about family unit survival and whores. People would be like, "Oh man, I got to get this book."
Well,
Whore?
whores do bring attraction to certain people. You can't deny that. And
Yeah.
then you got your Babylon, the
Mhm.
that great whore sort of thing. But yeah, Death should be in the description on both YouTube and Rumble. If it piques your guys' interest, anyone new who hasn't already checked it out, check it out. You got different tiers that you can select. Different, well, I guess perks is what
Yeah.
Indiegogo calls them. Got color, line art, manga 3-pack, or your manga if you're a manga person. Hardcover, hardcover color. I was going with the manga, and then every time I kept seeing the color version, I was like, nah, I want to get the color version. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that blue and red and all that stuff. But yeah,
Um,
check it out. Let's see if we can at least get over to 90K, that'd be awesome. And then of course
Yeah.
reach that six-figure 100K. So there
Yes.
is death, and of course, new information is going to be coming out with Swarm and Shane, the other member of King Toad Incorporated, has been talking about that. So check him out as well. I think that's in the description, unless I'm just terrible. Man, I need one of those people that like always like post people's stuff on, but it's like we don't right now. We only have like 2 people in chat, so it's like whatever.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, once we get some good conspiracy talk going,
Yeah,
these
yeah.
shows will start filling up with all kinds of wackos.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And I will also say that and Joe has mentioned it as well. There is in the process and in the works a King Toad Incorporated website. I've been working on that.
Mhm.
So other King Toad Incorporated merchandises as well as future projects, and of course Swarm and Death will be on there as well. That's slowly becoming completed. I just need information from you, Joe, about all the peeps.
Yeah,
Because
well, after show, let's touch base on that stuff again, and I'll make a little list so I can get you the last
yeah,
bit.
it's all
If I
good.
don't write it down, I'm gonna forget.
No, it's all good. I know you've been terribly busy.
But
Alfair
I
says
can't.
the Earth is flat and the moon landing was fake because it's made of cheese, Munster specifically. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
I
well,
love.
yeah, we'll get there too because I that definitely would be something to bring in to kind of have a show down the road as well. So there's a lot of things I do want to do with the channel as well, and that's definitely something that when you pitch Joe, very intriguing, could be something that could be the regular. So we'll definitely look into that, and we'll talk about what we shared. I don't know, I might be able to pull it up. Ugh, I wish it wasn't
Yeah,
on TikTok because then that makes me think that now I've got to create a TikTok, even though, China will get my info, but don't they already have it? So it doesn't matter.
that's what I was gonna say. Like people that worry about that, it's like they've had your info since you were born. If you were born after 1997, you're
Yeah.
fucked. So don't worry about it. Like we're past worrying about our information being had.
Yeah.
Every
It doesn't.
government on planet Earth worth its salt has our information and then some. They literally have watched everyone in the chat jerk off through their phone at some point.
Mhm.
They,
That's why I make mine the most craziest possible. I want them to be terrified when they look in.
he just dry humps the back of his office chair. It never ends in getting off, but I mean it's pretty funny, and the feds think it's hilarious. They actually tune in every week for
Mhm.
Greg's official dry humping the
Well,
office chair.
well, I'm not one to talk about my sexuality, but seeing as how it's Pride Month, um, I have a hard time whacking off. I'm bad at it. Bad at it.
Hey, Paul.
You do it at the wrong time and everything. That was a Norm Macdonald reference.
I I love that. I love his sex jokes because it's either about how terrible, like how terrible he is at things,
Yeah.
like he doesn't know how to jack off right, or he'll be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I
I'm
just
not one
got
to.
on top of her and laid there.
Oh
So
yeah.
he got on top of a
I'm not
chicken.
one to. I'm not one to talk about my sexuality, but I guess I'll come out right now and say it. I'm bad at whacking off. Bad at it. What do you mean by what do you mean by that? Oh, I always, at all the wrong times and just doing it wrong. It's like, what do you use? Sandpaper?
Oh,
Uh,
Norm.
All
Oh,
right.
God.
And with that
I got nothing.
wonderful Norm Macdonald reference, we'll transition over into Spider-Man
Yeah,
across the
Spider-Man.
Spider-Verse. I guess the movie's finally coming out because I just saw Nerdrotics saying they were just about to go see it, or someone from Nerdrotics um going about that. This was one of the things. Funny enough, like a lot of the stuff that I kind of saw was like with the Spider-Man across the universe stuff. Blood is lube if you're crazy enough. Oh, the pagan rituals from the past and that are probably still happening with the Freemasons and all that stuff. I wouldn't be surprised. But
Or you're just really into Cannibal Corpse.
true. But we've got Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse co-writer this was something that crossed my eye because obviously the whole big thing that blew up when it came to Across the Spider-Verse was, of course, the whole like trans kids flag in like one of the scenes in the background and stuff. And one of these things that I saw in Abounding the Comics, one of the co-writers is saying that it's attempts to relive uh, creeping multiverse fatigue, whatever. Creeping multiverse fatigue. Well, first and foremost, you guys can't. This is a lie. I think because you guys have to use the multiverse fatigue or the multiverse a scapegoat. That's how you're like. That's how you're retconning all these people. It's with with the multiverse stuff and different universes and stuff like that. So
They're
I
not very
personally,
creative. Yeah.
yeah, the multiverse thing isn't going anyway because that would mean that you would actually have to do work and find characters and like build upon them and not have a cheap excuse to retcon them.
Yeah.
Cape shit fatigue set in during COVID. Pretty.
Pretty
You
much.
Joe,
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say Joe would probably know more about that than me. I have no idea when all this multi when they were really pushing the multiverse bullshit.
I mean, I honestly started to see the fatigue in small ways, like you could tell, because you would just like, oh well, like these movies were still red hot when I had comic shops, and I
Hmm.
was starting to see the slight decline in enthusiasm because the difference was everybody would be talking about them if it was a fun movie. You know, like everyone was talking about like Iron Man and
Yeah.
Avengers and kind of those first films from some of the franchises. But you would
Mhm.
gradually see that decrease, and by the time Endgame came out, or was it Civil War? Whatever the one, it was Civil War. Endgame, actually, a lot of people like that I talked to. But it seemed like by time Endgame had ran its course and Thanos had kind of just ripped the universe apart and then
Uh-huh.
finally been defeated, like nobody cared after that. Like you went as big as you could basically with the Marvel universe. Well, they could have done bigger things, but that's like they're not going to because that's like the glory years of comics. But
Mhm.
say it's up to Disney writers, they're not going to be able to get past where that went. And you've just seen the enthusiasm dip a little bit more and a little bit more to where it's like, yeah, Ant-Man might have made some money, but nothing like it would have made if it would have came out in like 2000,
Mhm.
14,
And I
or
think
2013. So
yeah, and I think that's kind of where like people who actually had passion for it were more in charge of everything and then of course either became corrupted or they were slowly behind the scenes getting what they really wanted was to obviously retcon all this stuff and to make their version the superior version.
well, it got everyone hooked, and I think the
Yeah.
intentions were probably like good at first, just because of the amount of decent films. Because even the ones that weren't so good, like let's say, like most people kind of feel like Iron Man 2 was a little lackluster compared to the first one.
Mhm.
Um, that wasn't gonna like that was still considered a relatively fun movie. The DVD and like sales were still pretty good on it back when people were still buying physical media. Um, but now I don't know, man. Like everyone's just so tired of it and sick of it, and
Mhm.
it's because the quality went down. I honestly think if they would have kept the film quality like super high and
Mhm.
not rush these people, because there was actually, I don't know if you ever came across it, but there was a few articles that were floating around where the CGI teams that typically worked on Marvel, Disney, like a whole slew, like they were like private contractors basically. They weren't like company employees.
Yeah, yeah.
They would just be getting rushed so badly that like
Hmm.
it was frustrating because the studio head would be like, "Where's the film?" And then the people working on the film would show them like this quarter finished animation, and then the studio heads would freak out and say, "Oh, it looks like shit. We better change everything." And they're like, "No, you showed them stuff I had just started on yesterday." And tried to act like so
Oh,
like
wow.
now even contractors, there's a whole wave of like ultra liberal contractors that despite their ultra liberalness will not work for Disney, will not work for like Pixar's like what do they call them? They're like studio farms. They're basically like they'll just third party outwork to
Yeah, yeah. Outsourcing.
yeah to other countries and
Yeah,
to
I
these
get you.
private
Huh.
contractors, and they say it's such hell working for these people that
Oh, yeah.
they will go do commercials. They said, I'd rather do a commercial for like a pharmaceutical company because I get paid the same amount, if not more. It's a quarter of the work, if not less than that. And those people don't pester me and bother me into hating my
Mhm.
job. So, like, they're kind of fucked because all the people that did care despite politics, that were still ultra lefty but cared about it being good over being political, they're
Yeah.
gone. No one wants to deal with them
Yep.
anymore.
They
So
done
now they're
fucked
down
up.
to the bottom of the barrel worker bees, you know? Yeah.
Alfarius says, I remember back when I was in high school, 2004, the guy at my local comic shop refused to sell manga because it was already flying to the point of outselling comics. Wow, so he just didn't want money? What an idiot.
Yeah. That's completely retarded. The
Wow.
minute I could get access to a manga distributor, which really it's about three, because
Mhm.
not all, like everyone tried to get into one distributor for American comics, which was Diamond. Um, but it didn't work that way with manga because so much of that was bookstore sales. So you had like 3 to 5 people you could really get it from easily and quickly and at a reasonable price to where you had some resale value. And
Yeah.
they just the deals with manga. Some studios work with some
I can't
distributors,
even
some
like
don't.
I don't even know like the only manga things I know is obviously Shonen Jump, which I think has a US version in Viz. Like I have no idea who else would like distributors for manga. Working for
Well, that
Pixar used to be your dream, and now you're glad the market was oversaturated and you couldn't get in. It was my
oh
dream
me
too. That's what I
too.
went to college for. I thought 3D animation was the shit. And then
Dude, I applied to Pixar multiple times just to be a storyboard artist back in the early 2000s. It's
mhm.
yeah, it's all hindsight. It's really weird. I even think about that with comics. Like what a blessing from God Almighty that he
Mhm.
had the foresight to say this industry that you want to be a part of is going to be so awful someday that you won't
Yeah.
want to be anywhere near it. And
Yeah, I
so
feel the
I got
same
to
way.
know a lot. I'm glad I did. It'd be
Yeah,
awful.
I feel the same way when it came to voice acting as well. I still think there's obviously voice acting opportunities from the right people, but yeah, like the
You got to
scummy.
tweak your dream though. You know what I mean? It hurts when you realize
Oh
like
yeah,
industry
absolutely.
is so filthy and so gross. I mean, I wanted to do comics my whole life, and because comic book artists aren't um, social people, you see them at cons occasionally. You smile, get an autograph, they shake your hand, you go.
Mhm.
Um, you don't really get to know who they are, which was
Mhm.
great because they're almost all terrible people.
Mhm.
And now that I'm in a position where like I know Twitter, I've been in the industry for a long time, I've met a lot of guys, I have a lot of networks and circles I kind of run in. Like, dude, it is disappointing and sad how like
Mhm.
degenerate and gross and just shitty. Like,
Mhm.
I'd say 80% of the people I've met in just comic books are. I don't even want to imagine what the numbers are like for like legit entertainment industries like music
Oh,
or movies or things like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, at this point, I just pray that the good Lord puts me in the right area with people. Therius
But
says,
not
personally speaking,
stocking manga is insane.
what's
You
up?
know, like I said, not stocking manga is insane. That was my
Yeah.
point. I forgot. The minute I had access to it as a store owner, we were stocking it. We were filling shelves with it because
Mhm.
we were buying less and less comics because they were just sitting there. No one wants them.
Mhm.
And if we bought more and more manga, people were buying the shit out of it. You could literally stack anime related merch all around the manga, which was 90% of our stores at one point, was just
Mhm.
almost all anime stuff or 80s throwback pop culture stuff. It was sold like hotcakes. Sold
Yeah.
like hotcakes. I could sell Attack on Titan jackets, like they wear. Uh, the oh, what are they called? The team that goes out and fights them in the wild initially before they have as much action inside the walls. Um,
Wait,
but
what?
the Attack on Titan, like the jackets that the characters wore, that
Oh, the
the suicide
scouters.
team. Yeah, the scout
The
teams.
scout
Like,
team. Yeah, the scout team, I think, is the what you're referring to. I stopped
yeah.
caring about Attack on
Oh,
Titan once I found out what the secret was. I was like, that's bullshit.
the further you get into it, the more of a letdown it is. It's really that first season is peak.
Yeah.
But
Oh
you can
no.
sell those little capes and jackets like hotcakes all day, and they're relatively cheap. Like who I can't conceive being a comic shop and not selling manga. Like and anime related stuff. It's like it's an out of touch thing. Like you got to be selling it. That's what the kids want. Damn it, give the kids
Mm-hmm.
what they want. Let the boys be boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thayer says, personally speaking, Comicsgate needs something akin to Shonen Jump since there's so many creators and artists. It gets hard to showcase them properly. Um, yeah, I mean,
They
I'm new to the whole Comicsgate thing, Joe. Obviously, you would probably have more of a comment than me. I just know through my viewing of the people I've had on and talked to and stuff like that, there's definitely a difference. There's just like a bunch, and I think it's just because there's just so many people that there's definitely some people who are legitimately care about what it's trying to do, and then people that just see it to, use it to get ahead and then kind of
it's
dissipate
an
and
end
stuff.
to a means. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, the biggest example I can give is, Doug TenNapel. He shared his thoughts about what he thought about it, and he's not. He thinks it's a sham. He said that on my show. So, and it's like, yeah, I can kind of see what you get. And then, of course, having Mike on, hearing like,
Mhm.
yeah, there's actually people like who were there that genuinely want to do it. And then, yeah, it's uh, the concept of gatekeeping to me. I mean, I hate to say it's kind of how the gatekeeping was back in the day. And literally to me, all the gatekeeping was is the minute you find someone who immediately is trying to steer something about, well, we need to show equality here and we need to do this and we need to do this. If the craft is not the main purpose of what the person's trying to do, that's red flags. And that person should be like, very good, good luck on your journey, be gone, sort of thing.
Well,
Like every
ultimately,
yeah,
there's good gatekeeping and bad gatekeeping.
yeah.
So, and I know liberals will try to lump it all together like it's all the same when it's literally not.
Hmm.
I'm not for gatekeeping normal people out of an industry that
Hmm.
excel at it, make it do well,
Hmm.
or liberals that say are mostly rational and they're not crazy. I'm not about gatekeeping them out, but I'm 100% about gatekeeping it from people with bad intentions. And we
Hmm.
don't always know who they are, but when we find out, you got to kind of push them out. I know it sounds like, oh, well, that's the same thing the liberals do. No, they're the ones that are supposed to be pushed out. That's the difference. We're the ones that care. They're the ones that literally don't. They'll drive something into the ground and ruin it if that's what it takes for them to feel
I mean,
like they got their way. Because that's all
mhm.
it is. It's like we just want our way, and we're mad you're enjoying yourself, and
No,
this thing's doing well
you
under the leadership of people that like it. So
it's a continued pattern too. It's like you literally look at history. They will change it. The lie of this whole big switch thing. You know, well,
yeah,
really, back in the day, they were called Republicans, but they had democratic viewpoints and stuff. It's like no, like
the freedom of speech was never a Democrat viewpoint. You know, it's
yeah,
like
yeah. I remember
it's like
once
all
it
the
was like Lincoln, like oh man, it was like one of the Tom McDonald songs, Sheeple, where he says Lincoln was Republican and that's who ended slavery. And then, you look into a little bit of the comments and people are like, Lincoln wasn't like Republican meant something different back then. And it was actually Democratic viewpoints. And I straight up looked it up and like it was like, yeah, it was kind of referred to something different, but it's not the definition you're talking about. It's the same garbage with the whole big switch where it was like literally one person switched sides. It's what they do with, the Nazis and stuff like that. It's like socialism and communism are two sides of the same fucking coin. And you're trying to tell me, like, well, democratic socialism's good. It's like, no, not at all. It's all
they
garbage.
it's kind of like when you're dealing with someone that's not getting the answer they want out of you, so they
Yeah.
just keep rephrasing the same question. It's like the rephrasing the question is not going to change the answer you got.
It
It's
was like that
changing
one guy.
adding the word to socialism doesn't convince us, guys. I'm sorry.
It reminds me of that furry guy that just was going ape shit that I did not comment about the whole the Crusades. He got so mad that I just refused to comment about it.
Well, and
There
you
says
can
the
tell,
party
like,
switch myth. Only 5 people in total switch out of 100. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, the party switch. Yeah, that's literally what I'm talking about. And like, literally until all like And I hate to say it again, 2016, the whole Trump thing. This is literally when all this bullshit, like I heard about it for the first time. It's like, there was a party switch, right? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it's like, no.
No,
And like, I forget
there
what
wasn't.
channel it is, but there's a channel that actually has actual, like, legit saved and kept to be, to display and stuff like that of the like like the old school constitution books and news leaders and articles and all that stuff, even the propaganda stuff. And like he had a book of like when this whole big switch thing happened, and is exactly not what it says. That lie's been around since the 80s. I'm just saying, like, obviously for me, when growing up, I didn't really care a whole lot about politics. I just had an internal gut feeling about what was up. And that was the thing with Democrats that I was always like questioning about, is they would say one thing and then do the opposite. And I was like, what? I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And then people would be like, no, that's how it is. And it's like, whatever, sort of
You know
thing.
what though? Like I think outside of maybe a few exceptions,
Hmm.
when I was growing up as well, like you didn't like if I was talking to another teenager and he's trying to tell me about some shit on the news, I would have beat him up for being a nerd. Like
Exactly.
we like it wasn't no people didn't pay attention to this stuff until the basically
Mhm.
like I'd say like Trump era was when it got out of hand because even prior to that there wasn't the focus
Yeah.
wasn't near on the like crazy levels that it is now with people just being completely irrational.
Hmm.
There were touches of it with Obama, but it hadn't got out of hand to the same degree yet. But
Oh, I remember. Oh man, I was in a liberal college when that happened. Oh, that was insane.
it's just
It,
I didn't learn about much. Here's what happened with me, like honestly, where I started to learn more about, let's say, the world outside of what just history books told me, because I was big on history. Like I would read about
mhm.
American history all the time as a teenager, because
Well,
most boys did that stuff.
it's
Yeah,
interesting stuff.
yeah.
It's definitely
But
interesting stuff. It's just be legit about it. Just tell me what it is.
but when a friend of mine had turned me on to like Coast to Coast AM, which is a really kind of cheesy show. But when he had told me about it, he's like, dude, have you ever excited to listen to AM radio all the time for the local stuff, for the Cincinnati stuff, because AM's still a big deal around here.
Mhm.
He was like, have you ever listen to Coast at night instead of the trucker talk? And I was like, no, I always listen to trucker talk radio. Are you out of your mind? Because I was so Cincinnati and like we love truckers and cheesy. Like that's still we're like stuck in like we're
Mhm.
Smokey the Bandit mindset. But he's like, check it out. They just talk about weird like ghost stories and conspiracy stuff and aliens, and that was the first place I actually started to hear news that was outside of the norm when they would just do their little opening like news of the week segment that wasn't really conspiracy. It was just, hey, here's some odd things that's been in the mainstream news.
Mhm.
And that was my first kind of experiences with just paying attention to it. And it's because it was enticing. The station was always staticky. It didn't matter which version, because it'd be on like 10 different stations at night. No matter which one you turned it to, it always sounded like you were listening to some illegal broadcast at 1 a.m. They were talking like because it was not normal yet. Like you didn't have this stuff around much. You had the X
Mhm.
Files, you had a TV show at best.
Yeah.
And and that was in my like mid 20s. And it kind of sparked my interest into just learning more about things like that. I don't think anyone that says like, oh no, I've been into politics since I was, like 15 at a deep level, they're probably lying. They're like the exception if it's true. So be glad you don't always know about this stuff. Sometimes you'll say like, I'm not really familiar with that. And I'm like, thank God he's not. He would be an even more soured person right now if he
Well,
did. So I won't even go into details on some things. I'll just be like, that's fine. We'll just move on. I don't want to depress Greg with this thing I
no,
brought
yeah.
up.
You're fine. You're fine. I'm more interested in like supernatural biblical stuff too.
Me
Joe, I'm
too at
gonna.
this point.
I always seem to do this, but I need you to hold down the show. Damn,
Mhm.
damn, damn keto. I gotta go gotta go urinate. But that means I'm hydrated. I'll be right back.
Yeah, right on, dude. But yeah, pre-show, me and Greg were talking, and I even said, it'd be cool to like do a conspiracy show at things that are not like insanely hard to research because I don't have tons of time for this stuff, but things where you can kind of get the basics about it and get the reality versus the unreality of some of them and kind of go through both sides of it. Because while there's a lot of good, interesting conspiracy stuff out there that's not even really conspiracy, like it's just bona fide fact at this point, you can't really debate against it. There's other things like the Skinwalker Ranch, like things like that I've been hearing about since I don't know. I want to say at least like maybe the late '90s. I remember hearing the terminology about the place, even though I didn't know much about it. It wasn't until I don't know 2006 or eight that I really heard more about it. And all the stuff you would read, whether it was from books of people that went out there to do like research and experiments and stuff like that, um, they were always these grand tales, and they were very interesting, and it was very intriguing. And so it gives a person an impression because it's coming from a source that stayed at this place for a long period of time and did a lot of work. But then, like just recently, I was listening to some stuff about it probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and found out that the guys that actually lived out that went out there and said they did these experiments and were trying to figure out the cattle mutilations. These guys all worked for the government. They were all feds. There's a federal facility right there uh, on that property almost. Um, there's actually paperwork for I forget who it was, what unit it was, but it was one of the special forces units. Were being instructed to go out. People would say, "How are these cow mutilations? How are they so clean and technical and look like they were done with tools and things like this?" It's because they were done by a person with tools and had formaldehyde on hand and things like all the stuff they'd find at these sites and all the evidence pointed to some very smart being surgically took these cows
Oh,
apart. And there were special forces dudes that were like, yeah, we would go out on these weird missions on Skinwalker Ranch specifically, and because we were that close to it in proximity, and they would tell us that they wanted us to just surge it like it was some of the worst missions of our lives because we had to go out there and basically just surgically take apart a cow. And when
mm.
you start finding this stuff out after you've been hearing one thing for like 20 years, it's like there was clearly um, that whole thing was probably clearly 90% chicanery and nonsense.
What
And
up,
it's
Scott?
just that's what's interesting about like conspiracy stuff is like we get new information all the time, and it either pans out to be true or some of it turns out to be totally false despite looking pretty reasonable from the perspective of the people bringing you the story were normal as far as you knew. So, but yeah, we can get back on Spider Verse. I was just talking about some of our
Oh, I'm
us
just
maybe
catching
don't
up on
conspiracy
the
stuff.
comments. Not to sound
Yeah.
disgusting, but I need to look up like what the longest like time is that someone takes a piss because I feel like there are days where I could easily beat it and then some.
Oh
dude,
yeah.
dude,
And you just stand
ketosis,
there and it just keeps going.
dude, ketosis like always. So ketosis, make your make sure you stay hydrated. I'm now drinking 2 liters of water a day because I'm hitting the gym this time because that was one of the things with the tension headaches. Funny enough, on how awful the tension headaches were, but it actually motivated me to go back to the gym because it pissed me off so much. I was like, I'm just gonna work out and then like get healthy, sort of thing. So it was insane. I also missed out on most of the discussions of Across the Spider-Verse. Oh no, we immediately went off on a whole nother topic. You did not you did not miss a thing. But that's what I love about the show is like,
We derail every 2 minutes.
yeah,
It
we
just is.
ketosis is a powerful process, drains a lot of water though. True. Yeah, it's true. And I think that's one thing a lot of people actually don't understand about ketosis is you got to stay hydrated. Like I will tell you, stay hydrated because there will
Oh,
be
dude.
times where you are probably very I'm more than positive there were a couple days where I thought I would like pass out and I was like I'm pretty sure I'm dehydrated. So always make sure to stay hydrated. I mean that's obviously a given, but I can tell you. World's
Dude, get you
longest pee was 36 minutes and 24 seconds. Well, I guess I was just feeling very proud of myself because I was like, it's not stopping. It just keeps going forever.
I would die if I peed for 36
That
minutes
sounds
straight.
yeah, that sounds
That doesn't
terrible.
even
Oh
sound
my
real.
gosh. Speaking of getting myself a drink of water, hearing all this talk about water, there's actually something nefarious. Again, we still haven't gotten to the article, but whatever. Legal advice is a cool to it. Yeah, he'd be pretty cool to talk to. I actually reached out to a legal mindset to get him on the show, and hopefully we'll be scheduling something
You
soon.
can use me as a reference. We're buddies.
Okay, yeah. I feel really weird about name dropping. That's just me in general. Like I try to make it into a casual, like insert it casually. I just don't like name dropping. But
Just say Joe Ball said to do it, and he'll do
okay. And I'm currently yeah. I do have some guest plan, I guess for people who want to know. I do have some guest plan coming up here, trying to get Lila Hart on the show. We're talking. I reached out to Camelot and we'll try to get something scheduled there. Legal mindset, everyone in that group just trying to, just reaching out, Melanie Mack and all that stuff, just trying to reach out and talk to them. But Alfarius, you posted something up that I kind of wanted to check out. Speaking of voice acting, apparently Amelie was bullied out of the industry because she was originally anti-Vic, but watched a Ricada stream and asked a single question to a funny employee and shit hit the fan. That sucks. That's what happened with Eric. In a way, but Eric, and I'm obviously a little biased since he's my best friend, but I know the truth of what happened with that. I genuinely believe, and it's the same with Vic too. I truly believe that Eric was a threat to them because he did everything the correct way. He didn't take shit from anyone. He just said, "I want to do this. I want to get into directing." He did, and he had wrong think. Got shitted on for posting something about hydrochlorine for the COVID, and wow, lo and behold, hydrochloride or whatever it's called, and ivermectin actually fights against the COVID-19. Who would have fucking guessed?
Also, very helpful with people with cancer.
Yep, but nope. But yep, and then yeah, Amelie, is that the one person, Leon Lee? I want to look this up real quick. Yeah, Leon Lai. Yeah, I remember when I went, Eric could invite guests over, so he invited his wife and me when we saw the My Hero Academia movie. I met her and she was there. Oh, well, yeah, that sucks. And that's retarded too. Cause yeah, that's how that den of snakes are over there. They're scum. They're scum. And you know it right now too, as well. Vic got canceled, and then Damon Mills is still there because he's a protected class. Mindset is
Isn't
honest.
that
Mindset was the only person to talk about the U.S. forcing LGBT shit on Japan. Yeah, it's a fucking scam, man. It's a scam. There absolutely no way, just what Japan is as a society, that it's just gonna flip over just like that.
Yeah, you can see the efforts getting put in, and it's making all of
Yeah.
us Normans nervous because Japan's it. It's the
Mhm.
last place that's not totally fucking ruined right now. By
Yeah,
one, even if
I
it's not LG,
yeah, I
element.
saw that. I saw that and I took it with a grain of salt. I was like, mm-mm. Like I'll just randomly start watching some Japanese YouTube videos and stuff like that, and nothing's really changed. If anything, the very old school people, unfortunately, are dying out and stuff like that. But the new generation, I think, is still carrying a lot of that stuff. If anything, maybe they're more open to foreigners and stuff like that. But this sort of stuff, saw what?
This kind of stuff ain't going to make them any more receptive to us. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that for.
No, I'm just saying, like, just based on like just random videos of watching and stuff like that. You pick up hints and stuff like that, and it's
Oh yeah,
still a lot of
they
the
still think
traditions.
it's all fruity ass shit. Even the teenagers are like, it's
Yeah,
some fruity foreigner
yeah, that's
shit.
what I'm talking about. Like they may be more receptive since they're the new generations, but still a lot of that tradition is still being carried over. A lot of
Yeah.
people still have that, like, well, this was a whole part of my family. I'm just not gonna throw it away, sort of thing. Like you easily still pick that up, is what I'm saying.
They still have pride in themselves as a people.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, that was the other thing I talked about too. Was I mean, just anime in general. That's why the disgustingness of the Western dubbing industry. There's legit, you know, again, that's why I kind of made this show too. It's about the craft. No one's caring about the craft anymore or the sake of being entertained. They want to push a story, and unfortunately, the powerhouses are the ones that want to push a certain ideology. There's still like good studios out there that can produce good quality, even if you're a lefty or a righty. I don't care. I just want good quality, sort of thing.
Me too, because I'm not like I don't want to take away from liberals that really are super talented. Because
Hmm.
I know of plenty I could name right now that are like they're crazy comic book artists, but
Yeah.
that doesn't make their some of the work they did any less special to me. And there's some that even like Dave Sim. I love Cerebus. I love the work Dave Sim's done, but the dude has a sordid history and it's depressing. And it
Hmm.
makes me sad because like you can't talk about his great work anymore because of the things we found out about him just
I
in the last
yeah.
like 6 years. You know what I mean? Like he was
Yeah.
doing a little grooming shit and it was pretty gross. And it's like,
Hmm.
dude, I wanna talk about how much your work inspired me, but I can't now because you've done something like this. But at the same time, I'm not gonna take away from you how how
Hmm.
how inspirational you were at one time, despite what a kind of nasty dude you turned out to be.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of liberals like that too, where it's like, dude, some of you were a little crazy and a little nasty, but
Hmm.
like I'm not gonna pretend you're not talented. I hate when people do that. I hate when people
Yeah.
go,
I was just gonna
"Oh, this
say. I
dude's
was just
work
gonna
sucks
say.
ass." Like, you've been buying it for years. What do you mean it sucks ass? Like, yeah, his opinions are weird, but it doesn't mean his work's bad. So
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I was exactly gonna say that too. Like, there's still like some of the few voice actors I still respect are part of the liberal side of stuff. I got to, Ruben Langdon was on the show. I enjoy talking with him. He's
yeah,
very open minded. I'd love to talk with Laura Bailey, but she got backlash for voicing the black chick in Uncharted 4. Ruben talked about that. And then she got shit for Abby for The Last of Us Part 2. Now, I think The
oh yeah,
Last of Us Part 2 is a garbage game in general. But that's the thing, and it's exactly what you said, Joe. It's just because they didn't like, a lot of it was obviously woke ideology. That means you hate on the actors too. I think Laura Bailey's an amazing actress, and I still like her work and stuff. But she played Abby. I'm one of the people where if fucking Ellie and Joel were not involved in that game, I wouldn't have cared so much. Like and even if the game actually focused on Abby and that was it, I still wouldn't have cared, even
yeah,
despite on how manly they made her and all that shit. It's the fact that they got pressure to bring back Joel and Ellie, and then Joel doing things that he completely does not do in the first game, and because they're catering.
yeah,
Laura and her husband don't seem woke, though they do seem lib. I personally think they're secret conservatives, if anything libertarian, which is fine. I mean, I don't care. Um, that's my situation, or that's not situation. That's my belief, and I actually do personally believe. I actually think there's a lot of more libertarian right leaning people. Funny enough, I actually took one of those political tests and I'm now a moderate libertarian because there's just a lot of stuff. Because I hate the rhinos just as much as I hate the demon rats. So, you know,
yeah. We're always in a precarious position with that because we know it's like I
yeah.
got to pick the less two evils, but they're starting to equal out here. Like I need one to be the less. The problem is you're both like equally disgusting.
Hmm.
So
Perry
bring back
says
the
I
less
am a
evil.
deep right libertarian. Let's see. I actually took screenshots because before I remember taking like some of those tests a long time ago. One said
Yeah,
I was a centrist, which that was the one that kind of made the most sense to me. Let's see. All right, this one I'm 93% a constitutionist, which I guess is right wing but individualism. Kind of makes sense. And then this other one, I am like moderate libertarian.
Well,
So
back before like libertarian was like popular terminology, because you didn't really see it start to pop up that much till like the Ron Paul era, like
yeah.
2006, 8, somewhere in that realm. You
Hmm.
started to see it pop up more. A constitutionalist was just what it was. If you were right, but you weren't for like the corruption that we were seeing, almost everyone just called themselves constitutionalist by that point, or conservative. Those were the only terms I heard until like,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, like mid 2000s. It was just people kind of just lumped into.
Hmm.
There weren't as many subsets. There
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
really like metal music where there's 15 zillion subsets of metal, but
Very true.
we're slowly drawing in on that area when you see like someone that calls themselves like a libertarian, communist, anarchist, and you're like, okay, guy, come on, just pick one or two. When
Hmm.
you start listing three different ideologies, now I'm just like, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I don't. You just gotta
Yeah,
maybe come back and just change it later and just get rid of all of them. Think on it for a little bit so you can pick one. I don't.
yeah. That's like me with my faith right now, because I'm like, because I just made up a fancy thing. I'm a Christian contrarian Berean, which pretty much says I whatever the scripture says is the truth. I believe it was, God inspired through people. He spoke through people to communicate with his creation. I heavily question any sort of denomination, and because if they're not following what the scripture says, it's not right. And of
Oh,
course, Berean in the sense of Acts 17:11. Search the scripture and see what it says. That's me.
yeah, I was talking to a dude pre-show probably like a month or two ago on
Hmm.
another show I did, and we were talking about something along those lines, like what kind of like political system of a country we would like to live in.
Yeah.
And it was funny because he was like, libertarian and this kind of stuff, and the kind of anarcho-capitalist style. And I was like, dude, I just want like Christian authoritarian back. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I want
Yep.
Christian authoritarian. Like, I was like, for me, I was like, I know I'll never get that. But I said if there was a community of it that's not Amish, like I'm not looking to like
Hmm.
deal with farm animals, I guess is my point. Um I don't particularly like animals unless they're food. Um
I was gonna say, from what I've heard with your feelings about animals, I get what you mean.
yeah, they're fucking stupid and they're gross and they shit all over the place and they tear up everything they touch and they require incredible amounts of money and food when you're getting
I loved your response to Shannon, Shannon's tweet with the raccoon.
well, that's what I do with all the raccoons I come across. I ain't saving a fucking raccoon. They're disgusting little critters. Any raccoon you find in the suburbs or the city is the equivalent to a giant rat. Fucking kill it. Throw it in a hole in the backyard and call it a day.
It's
Or
like
find
doves
somebody who
or
will.
pigeons when they're flying rats. They're referred to as flying rats.
Yeah, don't go catch inner city pigeons and make pets out of them. They're fucking disease sacks. They're gross. So I cannot stand high maintenance animals. Like I think that's the catch. If it's like really low maintenance and they can't really tear shit up, I'm open to it. A fish tank, relatively low maintenance. You don't have to clean it all the time. I
Hmm.
don't want to deal with litter boxes. I don't want to deal with having to take dogs out every 2 fucking hours. I don't
Well,
want like
dogs are
I
annoying.
yeah, I hate all of it. But I like the animals. That's the thing. That's what people don't understand. I don't literally just hate the animal. I hate what they do and that I have to deal with it. And I
Okay,
don't
so
want tired. I'm
you love
exhausted. I
having
don't
the
want
animal, but you hate the responsibility of having to take care of it, is what you're trying to
to
say.
yeah, dude, because I've had animals for the last 22 years and I'm
I
just
get you.
over it now. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, I get
I've
you.
my
Well, one
last
more.
three cats all lived 16, 18, and 17 years.
Okay,
Like
Joe,
they
get a
would
new
they
guest.
wouldn't fucking die. It drove me nuts. And when they finally died, I was like, why was I taking so much care of these stupid fucking cats? Like they lived forever because I was so good to them, and I hated them.
Oh my gosh.
I was,
Well, when we're in heaven, you won't have to worry about that because I'm sure they'll all be tamed and all that stuff.
but you understand my confliction. I
I,
can't be mean
I
or cruel to
understand.
them. It's just not in me to be mean or cruel to them unless they're like trying to kill me or something, like a dog's attacking me.
Oh
But
no, I completely
it's still,
understand. Like it's
I still
obviously
hate them with
they're
all my heart.
I understand. I understand. Authoritarianism is never good when it's run by humans. Yeah. That's kind of the funny thing too when we were a little like I was thinking a little bit earlier. It's like it's when like I always get a chuckle whenever you said whenever you see like libtards trying to be like when they pull the whole like Jesus wasn't black or he isn't white, he's black. Well, it's like well technically he's olive colored because he's a Nazarene and they're more olive color than anything, but that's getting nitty gritty. But I love it how they always try to pull that out. And then you have the people that are like the hardcore, like Jesus is white sort of thing, your Westboro and stuff like that. I always
Well,
laugh
they
because I'm like, you do realize that when Christ comes back, like he's it's gonna be a it's gonna be a super spiritual like monarchist, right? Because God's gonna be in the center of everything, and you do realize that Jesus was indeed Jewish. He's not just gonna throw his Jewishness away. Like, do you guys like? It's like, do you guys not read the scripture? Answer: they
well,
don't.
they think we've grown up without being barraged with a bevy, if you were a church kid, with a bevy of illustrated books for kids and young adults
Mm-hmm.
based
Oh
on
well, I've
Bible
had that.
stories.
Yeah.
And they are filled with Middle Eastern people and people from other nations as well, and black people. Because you know why? Because the people that make those pictures know that guys from the Middle East typically look like guys from the Middle East.
Yeah.
Mexicans with a different kind of clothing on. We know what they look like. It's not like they always think they're blowing your mind. Like, do you know Jesus wasn't white? It's like, dude, there's nobody in the Middle East that's 100% white. They would have had to migrate to a
Mm-hmm.
different area.
Yeah,
Like, are
but
you
it's
the
also
retard here?
yeah, but it's also the opposite too, where it's like, he was black, right? He's like, okay, first off, like Jesus didn't come from like the Euphrates, sort of thing area, like the Egyptian area, like kind of down that area. That's where you get the deep dark, like black skinned people. Like he was a Nazarene. His skin was like olive colored. Like,
They
come
don't
on.
understand the difference in African nations and different time periods. The Middle
Rude
East and Africa,
chaos.
while connected, are not the same place. They're not. They never have been. They never will be. And it's hilarious because in their heads they hear the word Africa rather than the Middle East,
Yeah.
and they go,
Hmm.
"Oh, everyone was
Yeah.
black." It's like, dude, that's just not how it works. I don't like you people just come across so stupid, and then you expect me to take you seriously when
Chaos
this
in
is like
heaven.
basic
I'm gonna
geography.
have the luscious of locks. It wasn't at you, Greg, you loser. Bald, perhaps. Oh, sure. Sure, it wasn't. I just see God as a faceless, glowing head attached to a body. I mean, well, he is a
Kind
spirit,
of.
but yet he can have a corporeal type form, and he is considered male, and that's what the image of God for man was based on. So,
In- Interesting factoid on that note that always blew my mind, even if it doesn't really like blow anyone else's minds, is
mhm,
no one's ever been able, like as a human, to like truly be in the presence of God. Because it's like, the I forget the biblical reference, but basically like your eyes would burn out of your skull at just a microsecond of trying to look at him. Um, Yet he came down to the garden and could
yep,
walk with Adam and speak to him. So there's this interesting
mhm,
time where humans were, before we were a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy,
yeah, they could
we had
handle it.
the ability to, yeah, handle it, live the extreme lifespans. And I always found that
Mhm,
interesting. Like, man,
mhm,
imagine being part of that early DNA. Because I definitely think there was some human-esque people outside of Eden, maybe Neanderthals, maybe something of that nature. 'Cause, Cain does reference what'll happen to me. Like, what will the people outside of here do to me? And God
yeah.
marks it so that they know to
Well,
stay
that's
away. So you have an impression there was something outside of it, that
then
because
that's
even
kind
what
of
made it.
and I think that's kind of where people have the 2 creation accounts sort of thing can happen. That one I'm like, I'd have to do more research on. Maybe that's something I'll ask Gary too. But yeah, I mean, it was speculated that Adam was clothed in light, which is another thing too, which is another interesting thing too, because God also has back then he had his divine council that's in the spiritual world. They were called the
Yeah,
nations. When he gave the nations, the world over to the nations, he's actually talking about spiritual people, Elohim. There's Elohim and then there's Elohim, like with a capital E. That's why whenever the Bible refers to the Yahweh the Most High, it's because in Hebrew they say the word Elohim, which means God. But then when they're saying the God of, the God that's above the gods, lowercase g, they're talking about Yahweh.
yeah. People kind of start to get confused and lump it all into giants, and it's like, well, there's just like words that all sound almost exactly the same
Hmm.
because they're
Have you read
Hebrew.
Michael Heiser? He just passed away. Have you read The Unseen Realm?
No, I have not.
You should check that book out. It's really good. Because he actually, and that kind of ties back into what you were talking about God still able to be coming down.
Hmm.
Because in some of the scripture, if you listen very carefully, when like with Jacob, for example, where there's the angel of the Lord, and yet if you really pay attention to the wording, it's referring to two different people, an actual angel and God actually coming down in a form that like won't like obviously just disintegrate someone from being imperfect,
Yeah, yeah.
You should check it out, dude. He's a really good, he definitely knows his scripture. You should check that book out. It's really good.
What's it called again?
The Unseen Realm by
The unseen.
Michael Heiser. And I'm
I'm all
looking
right.
at what you're saying.
So I
It's
might
been
see if I can
revealed that
find
an elementary
the
school in
archetype.
Kikugawa City has introduced a drag queen to get Japanese children to explore their sexualities. Oh, Colonel Otaku Gate, leave kids alone. Dear Lord, let them grow up into an adult and let them decide. For fuck's sake, this isn't rocket science. Oh,
Japanese people pay a lot of money and are on a lot of waiting lists just for basic schooling, like what we would consider basic public schooling because of the competitiveness over there. So
mhm.
I see that backfiring once parents realize
Yeah.
this is what we're not paying for this. Because I one of my good buddies that lives over in Tokyo,
Hmm.
he did obviously like a lot of people, he did teaching, but he was at like a level where he was doing like private teaching for like rich kids basically, like where he went to their home and did private lessons. And
I'll pull it up.
he he eventually quit doing that and just went into a commercial preschool, like a chain preschool over there where there are a
Hmm.
bunch of locations for the same school. And yeah, like even though the parents were like super uptight about the education part, they were still like they considered when you're in elementary school and preschool and things like that, like he said the preschool over there is literally just like arts and crafts. Like they just want their kids to learn to draw first.
This
And it's
chaos.
surprising. But they're really picky about that shit. I don't we'll see, man. I don't know if that'll fly. They may have had to done that in a rural area where the school ain't got no fucking money to
Yeah.
fucking heck with,
This
you
is
know.
what Alfarius showed me. It's been revealed that an elementary school in Kikugawa City has introduced a drag queen to get Japanese children to explore their sexual. They don't even know what the. There, that's it.
There's a reason their anime and manga has ages attached to it. Because even they know their content's not for everybody and you have
Mhm,
to be of a certain age to buy it. I mean, you can't even have pornography over there without it being blurred.
mhm.
You know, this isn't gonna fly.
Well, in any case, let's actually get to what like some of the topics that I was wanting.
Sorry.
We are
Yeah.
we're like an hour and a half in, but that's okay. I love how this always goes. So, but I did wanted to see like kind of some of the articles that we pulled up. So apparently, one of the writers is talking about trying to fix the quote multiverse fatigue by saying the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse film is a story about a family. We'll see. In an age where fans are continually growing ever more disillusioned with the once novel concept of comic book Multiverse of Spider-Man Across the Universe co-writer Christopher Miller recently moved to reassure fans that despite its smattering of interdimensional locals and characters, the film is at its core a story about family. But I mean, I don't care about the family. I just want to see Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Miller, who wrote the screenplay for the highly anticipated animated sequel alongside his longtime filmmaking partner Phil Lord, spoke across the Spider-Verse core identity while standing the film's May 30th premiere in Los Angeles. I don't even believe this in the fact of saying it's about a family because we saw the whole like, trans kids or kids flag in the background. So what would these people know about a family? Like and right now they're going with that nuclear family. Isn't that wrong? I thought that whole nuclear family idea is like bad. Bad news bears. Let's see. What is this saying? Okay, beginning by recalling his process in picking which characters to feature in the sequel and who to voice them, Miller explained to Hollywood Reporter, "Who is the Spider person that I think is the coolest and I wish would like me and think I was cool? That was the objection." Is he trying to say I wish would be like me? Well, there's your problem right there. Who gives a shit of what superhero is like you? It's a fucking superhero.
None of them are like us. That's why
Yeah.
we like them, because it's a chance to just have some fun outside of the real world for a little bit and
Yeah. I
enjoy
mean, you can
personal
relate to
stories.
them, but
Yeah,
I do not get this concept. I do not get this concept of like in real life, I'm a crippled person. Where's a crippled superhero? You kidding me? You really would want to be a crippled superhero? Like you wouldn't
well,
want I would do the exact opposite. I would want to have the strongest fucking legs in the world. This is
I've never met a crippled person that was excited to be reminded constantly that they're
I
crippled.
know. Be reminded of how you can't walk. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's insane. I wouldn't want to be. There's tons of things I don't want to hear about all the time that aren't nearly as bad as being crippled. Yes, Professor X is an exception. He was a cool cripple.
Yeah. He
He
was
made
dope
sense,
though. But then
and he was a
but then
teacher. He wasn't really a superhero.
yeah, but then also when he would go into the astro realm or whatever it's called, he could walk easily.
Yeah, he probably could have walked easily the whole time. He was just being a bitch.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. If he's the strongest telekinesis, like in the Marvel universe, the strongest telekinetic mutant, couldn't he just like telekinetically make himself walk if he's so damn powerful?
Mm-hmm.
All right, having Miller then turned to reveal that despite the bombastic idea inherent within such a setting, what's interesting about the multiverse is that when anything is possible, it makes you have to boil things down to the things that actually matter in life and the story and emotions and the relationship we have with the people who care about. Is that why you guys always turn to making sure that there's equality? Like
Is he
that's
going to tell us who the villain is yet? Like, he hasn't talked about the actual movie at
yeah, I
all.
don't know what's going on. Alfarius says, I'm a cool cripple too. Yeah, indeed.
You are. You're the coolest cripple I know, to be honest.
You're a baller. As to how this concept of more direct storytelling was utilized in the second film in Sony's animated web-slinging trilogy, the director noted the wider it goes, the more it has to focus on Miles. Uh-oh, there's the problem right there. Focus on Miles. See, this is why I hate the multiverse, because in this universe, Peter Parker gets killed. And then you have Miles Morales is the replacement Spider-Man. He wasn't even it wasn't even in a universe where there was no Spider-Man and he became the Spider-Man. They literally killed Peter Parker and then made him, I guess in this universe, I don't know about the comics. So you're the second-rate Spider-Man and they're trying to pass him off as first-rate Spider-Man.
Well, and they could have had him pass the mantle on in a classy way. There's all kinds of ways you can go about it. Still use Miles. Like, it's not like you have to discount Miles. It's just it took a long time for Spider-Man to be established. Guess what? It's going to take Miles even longer to be established because even little kids relate Peter Parker to Spider-Man. When they turn on Disney Junior and the little
Exactly.
kid Spider-Man cartoons on. Guess who it is? Yeah, the whole Spider family's there, but the focus is Peter Parker and Green Goblin 90% of the time.
Yep.
They know who the stars of the show are.
The wider it goes, the more it has to focus on Miles' family and his relationship with Gwen and Peter. I can't wait to see how they bring up that trans kids flag or whatever. Can't get too far. It really is a story about family. Okay. What the family story will entail. Guy who voices Miles' father chimed in that when audience first meet back up with Miles, his father, and his mother are all dealing with grief. They're all trying to figure out how to raise his teenage son. Oh man, because that's what I want to see when I'm watching a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, it's like they're not telling me anything appealing. It's like this is just a CW via
I mean, I
2004 drama
appreciate
show
Valiant and the
about.
comics covering for this, but dear lord, like I'd rather just write reviews and make fun of this shit than actually write like an informative article because I would be dying from writing this. It's like you guys are telling us nothing. I think you get
Well,
to
it's like
see the love
you
and the
can't
heart.
pretend to take it seriously when it's not serious. You know, it's like you guys
Yeah.
clearly are taking your own work seriously. How do you expect me to? If a boss doesn't care about his business, guess what? The employees won't either. They will run amok. It's ridiculous.
Dimitri Monroe wishes Peter would catch a break with his relationship with MJ. Speaking of, I'm reading an old Spider-Man comic that honestly has one of the healthiest relationships I've seen. Nice. This guy's talking a lot about family, and I'm positive his father left for milk when he was a brat. Oh my goodness.
Oh God. uh,
After all, once
I can't do this anymore.
I'm feeling
Music.
it right now with this article. Like, this is the most lame interview ever. Like, after all, once a multiverse is in play, any and all alterations to a character can be market tested before being either promoted to the limelight a la Miles himself or conveniently hand waved away as nothing more than a simple variant. Oh man, the amount of comments that could be made about this one statement. And who said this? The Disney Studios improper. Or wait, no, is this Lord and Miller's supposed decision to refrain from letting the sandbox of the multiverse overrun their storytelling comes at a time when others, most notably those in charge of okay, so wait a minute. I think this is just the writer's input. And in a slight ironic twist, this latest trend would not have occurred had it not been for Into the Spider-Verse taking a leap of faith on bringing the multiverse to the mainstream. Oh, we're almost done. In a separate interview with Empire Magazine given ahead of Across the Spider-Verse's premiere, Lord noted that while there's been a bunch of multiverse things since ours came out, studios at the time were nervous that audience wouldn't be able to follow this idea of parallel dimensions. Oh no, it had nothing to do with being able to follow the parallel dimensions. It was the idea that you're literally trying to say that Miles Morales is Spider-Man when he's not. He's a variant of Spider-Man. In fact, all the other people were variants of Spider-Man. And like the Peter Parker got killed in that universe, the other Peter Parker that became fat and overweight, and then like maybe there was film noir Peter Parker, but all those other people weren't Peter Parker. They were like variations. They were other people. So there's like only a handful of actual Peter Parker people. This is oh my gosh.
What it ultimately comes down to is they'll say, "Look, it's just fiction," which is true.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that, but
That's
that's
what I
also
see out
not
of
an
this
excuse
article.
to ruin something or to let it fall apart or be garbage, or to have no respect for its past and no respect for its legacy, because that's what Spider-Man is. Spider-Man is a dynasty legacy hero. He's globally recognized, as much as Mickey Mouse or Darth Vader. So it's just disrespectful, and Disney's been on such a kick about this, and these other studios as well, where it's like we can't respect them. We can't even care about anything they're saying. Maybe the movie's great. We don't fucking know because we have pattern recognition, and so far everything they've done's been trash the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't trust them. They're trying to entice us with these things that have zero relevance to what made us like it in the first place. And then we're all the bad guys for seeing the film and then going, I saw it, so I know what happened. It just wasn't good.
Mm.
You're not allowed to recognize
I mean,
patterns.
I
You're not
didn't
allowed
mind
to.
in the first movie, but I didn't come out there saying Miles Morales is Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Like that didn't change my mind. Peter Parker is going to be Spider-Man. Even with what's his name? What's the clone of Peter Parker? Ben Riley?
I think so. I tapped out during the clone era. That
Oh,
shit was
okay.
just too much for me. That's when Marvel was in a really bad spot. So was DC. It was the mid '90s to late '90s, and Image
Oh,
was
okay.
still firmly in control with literally rip off characters of all the books they used to draw at Marvel or DC. So it was just a bad time. I don't look fondly on the clones. Some people like that era because they kind of fell into comics around then, so it's still
Mhm.
fun to them,
I
but
need
not.
to I need to like hone in. I really need to like write like my thoughts on my belief of what's happening. Like I'm like in the video game universe, I am confident that The Last of Us Part 2 is the false idol that the libtards will point to when it comes to wokeifying games. Um because I truly believe that. Like they'll point to that and be like, "Well, Last of Us Part 2 did really good." Like so it
Yeah,
does
they still
sell.
do. I see
And
that on the
and
regular.
what's up?
I said they do say that. I see that all the time on
Mhm.
arguments on Twitter threads between gamer people. I don't get involved because I'm not knowledgeable enough. But when it's dudes I know bringing it up and being like, "Yeah, the numbers were decent, but everyone hated it. They liked the
Mhm.
last one. That's why the second one did well. Third might not. We'll see."
Mhm.
You know.
Well, that's my theory. Like I'm going down to the and this is just my opinion, but I go as far as to say that the all the awards that The Last of Us Part 2 won were rigged. One like I personally feel that's exactly what happened because that was the game they decided on to really push to showcase that. See, wokeism can sell. It doesn't harm the story. It's like yes, it does because part 2 was the most garbage revenge story I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Um, and but like with the so and I feel with the comics, it's obviously Miles that they're pushing. Movies I can't seem to understand. Like I feel they're really trying to do it with the Little Mermaid, but it's still like it still did terrible. So I think they're still trying to find what idol to use for that one. I need to
Yeah.
like put my thoughts into that someday because I would love to go down that rabbit hole just to see and how much shady shit was made for The Last of Us Part 2 to like have it be all this like it's the best game ever. 'Cause I don't fucking believe it. Last of Scott E says The Last of Us Part 2 was bought out in terms of rewards. That's what I said because
Oh,
the
Scott, too,
fan
real quick. I was thinking of the Scarlet Spider series from the mid '90s. I didn't know they did a clone story again in '05. So
Oh, I mean, I don't know. The only cloning stuff I remember seeing that even remotely involved with Spider-Man was the Spider-Man the animated series that I grew up watching, and I remember before the series got canceled, they did that where it's Ben Riley gets absorbed by the Carnage symbiote, and then there was all that, and then different Spider-Mans from the different universe.
gotcha. Yeah,
That's
I'm
the
way
one
out
I
of
saw.
stuff.
Not the clone series, the series of comics I've read. Oh, okay. No, but The Last of Us Part 2, like, um, the year where it won all those awards, Ghost of Tsushima was the fan favorite voted one, and it blew it out of the water, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm like super skeptical about all those of how it won all those awards. Like I call bullshit. Like the graphics in Ghost of Tsushima was better than The Last of Us Part 2. Like you're telling me all those times, all those beautiful sceneries and writing the hakus and all that stuff, like lost. to fucking The Last of Us Part 2. Give me a fucking break. I don't believe that shit for a second. But that's my opinion. I do want to do research in that. So we'll transition over to supposedly the new Spider-Man into the multiverse movie is going to be about family. That encouraged Sony to producer Amy Pascal to make a live-action Miles Morales movie. In a I can't even talk. In a development that fans knew was all but an inevitability given Marvel's adoration of their current favorite merchandising opportunity, longtime Sony Spider-Man producer Amy Pascal has confirmed that development has begun on a live-action Miles Morales solo film. She broke the news while speaking to Variety, Mark Malkin during the May 30th premiere event for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, discussing the studio's plan for future web-slinging related projects. Pascal asserted that in addition to the third and final film of the Beyond the Spider-Verse trilogy, Beyond the Spider-Verse, Sony was also working on live-action films for both Spider-Woman, which previous rumors suggest would be helmed by Don't Worry, Darling director Olivia Wilde, and Miles Morales. You'll see all of it, she exclaimed. It's all happening. It's all happening, and yet no one asked for it. In regards to Spider-Woman's project, Pascal, fellow Spider-Man line producer Avi Arad, added that it will hit theaters sooner than you expected. I hope it hits so quickly that people just don't even notice it. I cannot tell you yet, he admitted, but it's coming. So Pascal has also revealed that a fourth film starring Tom Holland as the titular webhead is in the works, though she noted that its production has been put on pause due to the recent Writers Guild of America strike. Oh, man, that's the one thing about the strike I hope happens, is that it keeps going to where these movies just can't be made because no one wants to write. Oh, man, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
Are we going to make another movie? She rhetorically asked. Can I answer it? No. Of course we are. Damn it. I was wrong. We're in the process, but the writers strike. Oh, nobody is working during the strike except the people that need money.
Yeah.
That's the one I loved. It was like when it's like when the voice actors get butthurt that like a white person gets casted for a supposed colored anime role, and that everyone's like, you shouldn't be taking those roles. Dude, I would be the person that would be like, fuck you guys. I'm auditioning because I need money, because I care more about making sure I live than some false narrative about how, there's still inequality in the voice acting industry. Black and person of color people can't get good roles. Oh, so you just give them handouts? Because that fucking works. That's pretty much stating that you're incapable of getting any roles based on your talent alone, and you need handouts.
Who's gonna voice like fictional characters that aren't even real races?
I love it when you bring up like, well, then just don't. Why even have a dubbing industry? Everyone should be Asian. Oh, that's more ethnicity stuff. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, what are you talking? Yeah. Or no. That's when they switch to a nationality. That's when they switch it to nationality, because they know if they said ethnicity, then it's like, yeah, every anime, even if there are like person of color in the series, it's still Asian in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
They're half Mexican or they're half American or something like that. Let's see. What else does this garbage person have to say? We're in the process, but the writer's strike. Don't give a shit. We're all being supporters, and whenever they get themselves together, we'll get started. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen for a while. Sony has yet to provide any further details regarding the film. Okay, so I'm assuming the rest of this article is just padding. Looks like it. Comment about Morbius. 2 Venom film.
It's more than time.
Wait, there's an upcoming Kraven the Hunter one? I know there's Kraven in the new Spider-Man 2 game.
I think I heard something about it. I don't remember the details, but it was like
I don't remember it either.
It was being liberalized, where it's like, no, he doesn't hunt animals. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like his entire characters. He's a big game hunter turned villain. Like, okay, he doesn't hunt big. Like, they just can't let villains be bad guys. It's like, why would this bad guy care about big game being hurt. Like, come on.
Okay, it's been a while since I've seen Spider-Man Homecoming. So this is saying, should Miles make his debut in the MCU, it will be interesting to see if Marvel Studio capitalizes on the character's brief cameo in Spider-Man Homecoming. Are they referring to Kraven the Hunter or Miles? Because I don't remember Miles in Spider-Man Homecoming.
I'm not sure.
At one point, while hunting for information regarding the Vultures, I don't care. A man he previously intercepted attempted to buying some of the aforementioned arms. Aaron Davis, betrayed by Donald Glover. Spider-Man interior. So this guy, fortunately for the wall crawlers, attempts to extract information from the man are all in vain as Davis keeps his cool and stonewalls the hero at every turn. Eventually admitting defeat. I must have missed. All right, this is just, I don't care anymore what the article has to say. I've lost my interest. That's how I work around in my show.
Like, it's all stupid and gay anyway.
Yeah,
So.
I saw cool articles. I'll start reading it and then I'll be like, wow, this is fucking gay as shit. I'm out.
Well, it
All
is
right.
Pride, so I guess we're kind of on point in a way.
True. Well, we'll move over from a Spider-Man to the Flash. We all know how wonderful the Flash has been, with Ezra Miller and all that bullshit. Now, this
He's
is
just a
something that.
good boy.
What's up?
Said he's just a good boy, that Ezra Miller.
He seems like a swell guy. I'd love to hang out with him.
I'm so glad he's the Flash.
Mm-hmm. So, alleged the Flash post-credit scene teases brand new Batman, and I guess according to this, the scene ends up erasing the Snyderverse.
I'm fine with that.
I mean, I'm fine with it too. I'm just curious of exactly what's up.
They shouldn't have to have a scene though to get rid of the Snyderverse. Just get rid of the Snyderverse, and you can start by getting rid of Ezra Miller,
Just
part of
ignore it.
the
So the
Snyderverse.
Flash is about to release, and supposedly the film puts an end to the Snyderverse once and for all. For the last few years, it's been touted as the reset or death knell. Death knell?
Death nail? Maybe that's what they mean, like the final
Nail?
nail.
Oh, death nail? I guess. They literally spelled nail, Knell.
Oh,
Okay,
maybe
I
Neil?
gotta know. I gotta know if that's actually like a saying.
Maybe it is. Yeah, maybe I'm just way off base on that one.
It's a noun. It's a stroking or tolling of a bell announcing a death. Okay, so it is. So it's
Okay.
or a sign or a harbinger of, hey, you learn something new every day. This show also
Pretty
brings
cool,
you
actually.
education and new
Very nice.
vocabularies that you can add to your arsenal.
Yep.
So depending on how you look at it, of Zack Snyder's a DCEU vision, and this outcome looks more like a certainty than ever. So after all, Warner Brothers is now owned wholesale by Discovery. Okay, we don't care who owns it. Like, what else do you have to say about this? Beyond that, they are tasked with starting fresh and have their own ideas as to what DC should look like cinematically over the next few years. As we know, Henry Cavill and likely Ben Affleck won't partake anymore as Superman and Batman. Henry Cavill, yeah, terrible mistake on that part. Ben Affleck, I didn't really care. A fact that compelled several alleged scoopers to declare the Snyderverse dead. A Twitterer who goes by, "Can we get some toast?" Sounds pretty delicious. Is running with this as the account claims knowledge of a finalized, all in capital letters and quotations, a Flash post credits scene that shows Barry and Aquaman in a bar talking about Batman. Without adding further detail, the user speculates that this scene is seemingly putting an end to the Snyderverse, which is a bold claim. However, YouTuber, someone I don't know or don't care about, Sil Abdul, who probably more than anybody has been covering the future of the Snyder face of the DCEU and what to expect from the Flash's actual ending, adds more layers to the story.
Ooh, layers,
So,
like a pineapple cake.
sounds good. Subsequently, he goes into details as he heard concerning the post-credits scene and what happened, standing by what he has already said about George Clooney making a cameo as his less popular iteration of Bruce Wayne. Wait, really? George Clooney actually makes a...
I think they pull the multiverse thing in that as well because nobody's
Uh,
creative, and you get to see these past Batmans from past Batman movies. Like that's the only way they could sell this movie. They were like, "Hey, look, it's Michael Keaton and the
mm,
89-90 Batmobile," and we're all like, "Oh my god, I'm so happy!" And then we're like, "Oh, it's a Flash movie. Fuck!
yeah.
I just want
Ugh.
Michael Keaton back." Yeah,
Well, it's like when Anna said, doesn't Anna say like um with Superman, it's like, why are we keep remaking Superman movies that like has about his origin? Like, just get to the Superman that's already gotten used to doing the crime fighting, and let's just see some sweet ass, story
same
with
for
that.
Batman, same for
Mhm.
Spider-Man. We've seen all of their origin stories on the
Yeah,
big screen probably anywhere from like 3 to 6 times, depending on the era. I'm talking like early 2000s to now. How many times have we seen Spider-Man be re-explained? We don't need it again. How many times have we seen Batman have to go through his whole thing just to get 5 minutes of action at the end of the movie? Like, and I don't
hmm.
like the Nolan films either. I hated the Nolan films. They had little bits that were okay, but it
Oh,
wasn't
really?
Batman. Well, yeah, it wasn't Batman. Gotham wasn't even Gotham. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tim Burton's
I
movies.
do agree with that. It was definitely like not a dark like, especially the second one. I didn't really get that dark feeling that Gotham was still kind of crummy. Like, granted, like that was the midway where like Batman was well established and cleaning up a lot of stuff. But no, but then the third one was like, yeah, there hasn't been crime for a while, and then Bane
Well,
comes along.
it should look like Batman Returns in the animated series. Those two, that's Gotham. Gotham should look like a mix of Art Deco and 1940s style. It should always kind of remain in that little time capsule, no matter what time period you're placing it in. You can still throw
Mm,
some other vehicles or other more modern things in, but not too much. It's like an old city that should remain old looking and looking kind of gothic and intimidating with statues and old architecture and stuff everywhere.
I get
So
you. So
like
were you?
like
So
even the
what? Like, are you a Tim Burton fan then? Like the that Batman?
well, like if I spoke in general, no, I kind of hate most of what Burton's done in life in terms of film. But his
Okay,
Batman movies are as good as it gets thus far. He's hit most of the marks right, more
I
than
get you.
everyone else, and even went a little further on some things where I wish other people would. That don't.
Mm,
They always hesitate. Like Tim Burton would have Batman literally like turn around and smile and then blow his like rocket engine out on a bad guy and just burn them alive. He would smile about it. He would walk up to a criminal, put dynamite in their hand, and smile as they blew apart. Like Tim Burton had that much figured out at least. Like make Batman kind of a little crazy. The guy enjoys bad guys getting their shit kicked in, and he has no sympathy for them. He shouldn't
mhm.
be worried about if they live or die. He'll
I
break
haven't
every
seen
bone in their
the
body, but not
Batman.
kill them. So he's got the most marks right though. Like, yeah, Batman was really stiff because of the suits at the time, and it was hard for Keaton to do like really good fight scenes because he couldn't even move his neck or his head.
Yeah, I knew
So
that. Have you
he
seen
looked a
the
little stiff.
Batman?
Which one?
The
The '89?
Batman,
Yeah.
the recent one with what's his face from?
Oh, the Robert Patterson one.
Yeah, that one. I haven't seen that yet.
Little bits. Like I did watch like the highway chase, and I thought that was pretty awesome. I can appreciate the Batmobile, even though I don't think they should have. I think the Batmobile should always look something like the animated series, or once
Mhm,
again, Tim Burton's Batmobiles. Those are the best Batmobile designs that have ever been made, and we should stay in that realm, in my opinion,
I get
always.
you.
But it still looked cool. Like they did good on at least that. But like I don't know, when I tried to watch it, I felt bored. I felt like nothing was happening. Like I just couldn't get into it. It just wasn't Batman either. There were split seconds that were kind of Batman-esque, but once again, it was just another generic take where people can't just stick to the source material that has been solid for like nearly 100 years now.
I get you.
Just don't fuck with what's not broken, man.
I
We want
couldn't
we want the bat symbol in the sky, dramatic music, Batman getting all serious and coming in and taking names and solving mysteries and being a detective. We don't need young Batman again. We don't need, oh, Bruce is learning the ropes. Give me a fucking break. I'm sick of it. I don't need to see it again. No one does. Just make a Batman movie. God damn it.
Yeah. No, I didn't. You might have mentioned it before. I didn't know you weren't a fan of the Nolan ones too. Like I like that trilogy, obviously for like trying to put Batman in I guess you could say in real time sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I understand completely of yeah, if we really want a Batman, yeah, you need to have that disgusting looking Gotham City feeling to it and all that stuff. I do agree with that.
Well, and Batman should just be in the shadows more. He should be hard to see most of the time when he's being Batman. He should be borderline spooky. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I get you.
Batman's peak Bat books was like when Neil Adams was working on the book. And yeah, Batman was still blue and gray, which was fine. I still prefer that color scheme because that's the one I grew up on. But I understand the black as well. But he should always kind of just be like eyes in a silhouette, and you save seeing him for fight scenes and big moments. Like you keep him hidden, keep him in the shadows. He's talking to people that can't really see him well. And the viewer shouldn't be seeing him well either. He should be very mysterious,
I get
very
you.
spooky, very unsure if this guy's good or bad in a way, you know, because he kind of breaks every part of the Constitution you can dream of at some point. Just, I'm going to do what I got to do, and I've got the money to do it. So it's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's like this dude should come off a little different. It's just no one does it right. I don't get it. And
Not
Burton
the
didn't even do
hero
it.
we
Oh,
need, but the hero we
yeah.
deserve, or whatever they say. Maybe it's the reverse of that. It's been a while. Going back to the Flash, so I guess this guy is kind of saying that this supposed ending sequence isn't finished yet, so it could just be speculation. And then let's see. Earlier versions of the Flash were going to set up the DC Films Flashpoint timeline along with the tentative Crisis on Infinite Earths event movie that could have seen the return of Cavill or Henry Cavill, I guess. Cavill, Affleck, and the nightmare reality scene in Batman versus Superman and Snyder's Justice League. There's your Michael Keaton.
What a blown opportunity with Cavill. The dude is Superman. Like he's as good as we were going to get since Christopher Reeves. He looked
I
like
know.
Superman. He had
I
the
know.
voice. He had it all, dude. And they flushed a golden opportunity down the toilet to make the next, like, make Superman fucking big again, like 80s level big. When
Mm-hmm.
Superman was fucking huge. And you know what? He didn't have to wear any adjusted costume or anything. He had the little curl in the front of his hair. He had basic Superman tights on, and it looked awesome, and it was dramatic, and it was well done. At least those first few films, and what a blown opportunity. I still can't get over that one. Like I don't hate Snyderverse because of any of the actors. I hate it because none of it's DC, none of it's filmed right, none of it's colored right, none of the characters are in character. Like that's what I hate. Is
Yeah.
that guy absolutely has no fundamental understanding of any part of the DC universe. He
Mm-hmm.
pulled off Watchmen, and they gave him way too much leeway after that. He did all right
Really?
with Watchmen. I don't want to completely shit on Snyder. He's done some okay stuff here and there. I love 300, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to. That guy does not get DC. These dudes
Wait,
should be like
Snyder did 300? I thought that was Miller. Or did
Frank Miller
Snyder?
wrote it, but Zack Snyder directed it.
Oh, wow. I didn't, for some reason, I never put that together. Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
So he's capable. You know what I mean? I
no,
sometimes
yeah.
I
I
wonder
get
if
you.
his hands are being tied. You know, because I've heard him talk about movies that kind of bombed of his or didn't do well, and some of the criticisms, and he insinuated like my hands are tied with the studio, and he didn't say
Always.
it that direct, but he pretty much insinuated it in a big way, and I really wonder sometimes like did he have the right thing in mind? And they said no, do your gray, boring, ugly ass Snyder films. I don't understand it. It frustrates me how Warner Brothers could have been so dominant and so on top with these characters for so many fucking years, like decimated the competition for a while. Batman the animated series, things like that that were insanely good and in character to a T. They were perfect. And how do they fuck up so much now? It's not even woke stuff that's fucking it up. It's just people that have no fundamental understanding of DC and the
Yeah.
characters, and it's
Yeah.
infuriating. I could go on
Yeah.
for a while with that.
Yeah, it's the dreaded studio CEO producer bullshit. We want this. So I kind of like skimmed a little bit more of this article. So, I mean, it's talking about how looks like there's time travels because you got your Keaton. Suppose Clooney's going to be in here. Affleck. They're not going to get. Oh, I guess that's a different timeline altogether. So what do? Okay, so in other words,
Like,
Batfleck
go
is
ahead.
still out there. What DC Studios or Max, for the sake of argument, we don't know. But the option will be there. Well, wait, why say that he's going to be erased? And then in this article later on, you say, in other words, Batfleck is still out there somewhere or will be. Okay. But the option will be there for them if they so choose as they enter a new timeline, or maybe Netflix comes calling. All right. I mean, that was pretty much it. So this article pretty much padded out the fact of like, it's all speculation. Some of it is still a work in progress, or it's too early to say it because it's not really finished and all
I
that
heard
stuff.
it's going to be kind of heavily inspired by the Flashpoint
Yeah, that's
story from
what
the
sounds like what it's
2000.
alluding to.
Yeah. Which Flashpoint, from what I heard from others, because that was right when I was kind of tapping out of all comics, like I had just stopped reading anything
Hmm.
that wasn't the work for a while. Flashpoint did well, and it's a high regarded storyline, but it's also looked at as the last good DC mega arc, or story that kind of involves a lot of the DC universe that people
Yeah.
had any respect for. And honestly, I blame DC for this multiverse shit. 'Cause back in the 80s, when Crisis on Infinite Earths was made as a comic book, the whole purpose of it was DC was completely flooded with all these time eras and these characters that they had a hard time creating continuity together with. It wasn't to replace or woke eyes the characters and turn them all different ethnicities. It was a way to condense the universe so they could put all the heroes in one place again. And it was probably one of DC's most epic mega stories ever. Like, I love Crisis on Infinite Earths. It has my favorite artists, my favorite writers, everyone that was on that story arc. It is absolutely one of the best DC mega events ever. And people took that rationale and started applying it to Marvel movies, but for all the wrong reasons. So I blame DC a little bit for bringing multiverse stipulations into comics, because now it's become a cop out thing that they even do in the comics too much. Where it's like, enough of this
Yeah.
shit, guys. Like, you can't keep retconning everything when you realize it's hard to write 150 characters all in the same universe all the time where everything always matches up. Just keep the characters separate enough that it's not an issue. Batman just worries about Gotham for a few years. Don't have another mega event. You know.
Yeah. Let's see. We're getting up to
Oh,
2 hours here. So I
yeah.
wanted to point it out this one because I saw this. So everyone's been going on a tizzy because Magic the Gathering with their Lord of the Rings block, I guess you could say. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember my Magic terminology because you have blocks and then you have sets, but they're doing a Lord of the Rings like version of it, and um, they made Aragorn black, which makes no sense whatsoever. And then this weirdo guy named David Leavitt goes on
Yeah.
just goes insane, calling everyone just racist. And I thought it was hilarious because I looked at the thread and I looked at the picture that was made, and dude, every comment he responded to, he just calls them racist. And I just immediately thought of Norm Macdonald. I even made a tweet about it, of Norm Macdonald when he's interviewing Andy Dick, and he's talking about how his doctor keeps saying that his health is alarming, and Norm's like, alarming. Someone's got a word of the day, and that's immediately what I thought about with this guy. Like, that's all he did was just throw around the racist label. It means nothing. It means
Well,
nothing nowadays because
and this
everything.
is like he's a scumbag from like 2017 era, like when Trump got in office. He was one of these weird liberals that would film himself doing absolutely lunatic behavior and then get ridiculed to no end for it. The problem was he kind of went away for a while because I forgot about him until this most recent thing popped up, and I'm like, oh shit, that's that guy that like filmed himself harassing Target manager over an item being in the wrong spot and him not getting the
that's what I
price.
heard.
Like,
The
the guy's a
toothbrush.
fucking lunatic. Yeah,
the toothbrush. This was the first time I heard about him, so obviously his impact meant nothing to me.
he
So
was like he came and went in like 2 weeks, like on the internet, and then disappeared, and then people found him working retail and would show up to his job and hassle him, which is absolutely hilarious and ironic. So,
wow, he sounds
gay.
But so apparently this guy went crazy. Describes himself as a casual Magic the Gathering and board games player. Oh, fuck off.
he's never done it once in his life.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a fucking second. I recently like opened up Magic the Gathering Arena and like installed the newest like updates and stuff like that and did a little historic playing. And I guarantee you I play more fucking Magic the Gathering than this guy. So he accused J.R.R. Tolkien fans of being racist Nazi fuckers.
Oh shit. It's
took
on.
issue with Tolkien's fans who put Magic the Gathering on blast for race swapping Aragorn. Or Aragon, I guess. Wait, I thought it was actually Aragorn. Or is it Aragon?
Everyone's got very similar names in Lord of the Rings. That part can be a little confusing.
I could have sworn there was an R in that. Let me see. I thought there was 2 R's.
Tolkien's like, no, this is Boromir. This is Boromir. And this one's Bahemur. You're like, so they're all the same name, Tolkien. You got to help us out here. Changing one letter does not help me.
Oh, it is. It is Aragorn. They misspelled his name.
The article.
Dude, I don't know why I even go to Bounding Into Comics if half the time I'm like, what the hell is happening? And then I learn there's a fucking spelling error every time.
Literally every show I've been on with you, they do this like 3 times per article.
Was that a Cartman clip? That was Stan from The Losing Edge, where they're trying to lose the baseball game so they don't have to play baseball all summer.
I love that episode.
And and the news leader's like, Stan, how does it feel to be knowing that your guys are playing for the state champion?
Gay.
That's all he says. Gay.
Classic South Park episode.
Dude, Bounding Into Comics with their misspelling.
Why do you disappoint me? Second by second, you waste my time.
Daddy! Dude, that episode is so fucking funny.
I love Ezekiel. I love Aqua Teen in general. But it was Stan.
I'm Ezekiel.
Were you the one that hit it over the...
Please do not undercut me in front of the child.
I love that. I want to start saying that to people whenever they insult me. Just like, please do not undercut me in front of the child. I am 30 or 40 years old. Actually, I think I have that quote too. As you can see, I had some time where I could just cut out.
I am 30 or 40 years old and I do not need this.
I love Shake doesn't even know his age. Well, anyway, yeah, they race swapped Aragorn. Fans called it out as calling it bullshit. Apparently, they also race swapped Galadriel, Gandalf, and Eowyn. He wrote the same racist Nazi fuckers who complained about Black Elf in Rings of Power because it didn't make any sense why there were there, and a black mermaid in the new Little Mermaid. Well, I mean, that's an attack on my my people, the Gingers. So yeah, you're damn right. I'll attack that. Because are now throwing a fit because there's a black Aragorn. Oh, now they spelled it right. No, they misspelled it even worse. I think they added 2 A's in the front of Aragorn now. My gosh.
Oh, Bounding. You guys got to proofread. You really need editors or something up in there. You know what the sad part is? They have some professional writers working there as part of their staff. I half wonder who wrote this. If it was one of the pro writers, it's like you guys got no excuse. Like
This was
you're
written
trying to get
by John F. Trent.
Okay, I'm not familiar with John F.
I like how the man can't even. Why can't you at least just have an inconsistent spelling error? You know, this is like 2 different spelling errors.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he went crazy, saying everyone's racist. I fucking hate how many racists there are in the board game space. Well, first of all, Magic the Gathering's a trading card game. It's not a board
Yeah,
space, you
not
dumb
a
fuck.
board game. Now there
And
are
there he
board
is.
games, but it's not a board game.
Yeah, it's not a board game. And there he is. I'll just say right now, the Sword of War and Peace, I guarantee you is better than this garbage sword.
Dude, I
Anyone
saw
knows
the image.
what
Lifted that.
I was in Magic. I was around when there was Sword of War and Peace, Sword of Feast and Famine, there was the Sword Mythic Rares. They were actually really good. Sword of War and Peace, I believe. No, Sword of Body and Mind is what this one reminded me of. That one was again protection against blue and green. And then let's see. Whenever you attacked, I believe you got mana or you untapped a land, and then if you hit a person, they mill the top 10. It was dangerous.
Yeah, you could
But
totally
anyway,
screw somebody over if they were waiting on cards to come up and just had to watch their babies get milled.
dude, I had a gnarly mill deck. It was disgusting. Anyway, unironically, Levitt exposes his own bias always by attacking those who expect a Magic the Gathering card to feature the Lord of the Rings to stay accurate with the characters written by Tolkien, as we know. Okay, and now that we're going into the history of Aragorn, I'm going to skip that. Oh my, is this really how they're going to pad this article? Okay, they're pretty much describing, okay, this is the big one. This is the big one because according to Tolkien, when Strider is talked about, he was described as having dark hair and I think fair skin, sunken eyes, and all that stuff. So obviously,
He looked
not
like an English.
a black person. What?
He looked like an Englishman. They're
Indeed.
all supposed to look like Englishmen.
Yep.
Even the elves, pretty much. They're just pretty young English people that don't have fucked up teeth.
Okay, so not only did Tolkien, okay, so pretty much that giving you definition of how clear Tolkien was based on what the descendants and what specific people looked like. Apparently, Magic the Gathering knew it as well. One of the card set designers, Justice Geddes, a self-proclaimed queer trans writer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had red flags the minute I read that name.
Rolling my eyes as we speak.
My main contribution to this contemporary reimagining of the Lord of the Rings. Did they specifically say reimagine it or just fucking represent it, you stupid bitch? Was to consistently push for a diverse Middle Earth setting. No one asked for this. That stayed true to the Tolkien text. Right there, to the Tolkien text. And you guys
Here's what it boils down to. We know they're trying to do this to annoy people.
Yeah.
If their heart was in it, if there was good reasons, I think maybe like people could look past it if there was a history of honesty and not being disingenuous and these people really trying hard to do the right thing here. There's no history of that. Their history is to annoy people away from a hobby, to irritate people away and then act like everyone else is the problem. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. You're trying to push people away. That's your purpose. It has nothing to do with equality. You're using a black person to irritate people, and then you wonder why people don't have flattering things to say about you or your card.
I guided continually in lore checks. X to fucking doubt you did. Focused on character and society details. Again, no, you didn't. And applied primary source material to our work. No, you didn't. The art literally speaks for itself. You didn't.
Yeah, you did.
But reimagining is not just race swapping. Oh my gosh.
Like, why? There's no
Uh,
need to imagine it though. There's like we're talking about, and I'm not even like a huge Tolkien fan. Like, he's all right, but it hasn't been my jam since the first movie. I was really into it then, but I kind of grew out of it. This we're talking about a guy that literally laid such extreme groundwork for a universe that people know every detail of its past, present, and possible future.
I'm
They know
gonna
what these
close the
characters look
article,
like.
by the
They know
way.
the yeah, they know the characters' family lines. They know the characters' lineage, their languages. Like, why would he bother putting that much work into a
Okay.
universe to make every
Yeah.
detail specific so that someone could reinterpret? He made it non-reinterpretable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not up for
The
debate. Like,
rest of the article is just showing what I told you, where there's just his response of people criticizing it and just saying, "You're a vile racist. You're a
you're all right.
worthless racist. Racist little poop emoji. I don't
Rapist.
like that you're a racist." See, someone has a word of the day, as Norm would say. That's pretty much what the article is. I just thought it was funny. Oh, David, David,
I
David.
Get the gun! Shoot him in the head! Hurry!
Oh, made me giggle. But yeah, we're beyond the 2 hour mark. I don't want to hold you anymore, Joe, if you have to get work done or skedaddle or something like that. But we will end off with once again plugging in Death, Death, Death. Anybody new that hasn't check it out, go check it out. It is on Indiegogo. Is it still shadow banned? I'm assuming it is.
Yeah, you can only get to it through direct link. Like, if you
And
search
that
in Indiegogo search or Google, it won't show up. Now,
even
Brave
better,
Browser,
that link is in the description, fools. Check it out right here. Indiegogo broke 85K. Joel would like to see if it's possible to get 100K before shutting it down, which is actually coming up because they have another story in the works called Swarm, and the other King Toad Incorporated partner Shane is showing more about that. But yeah, if we can just go out with a nice big hurrah, that'd be great. So anybody new who hasn't checked out Death, 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 feel free to give it a look over. You've
yeah,
got
thank you.
you've got manga edition, you got a hardcover edition, hardcover color edition. Gets me
Something for everybody.
gets me Randy.
That was the intention. I'm a degenerate comic creator.
Yeah, exactly. Just remember, deep down in
I'm gay.
Jesus
was back-
Christ.
that was back when iDubbbz was actually pretty cool, but now he's just a complete cuck.
Yeah, dude went soft. Big
He
time
did.
soft.
He did go soft. I didn't even watch a whole lot of his stuff. His content cop I thought was pretty funny, but I didn't go.
I only found out about him once everyone hated him, and then I backlooked to see what he was about. But yeah,
Well, it's always about it always ends up like that. What is it like with what's his face? Ethan Klein or whatever, H3
oh,
or
yeah.
whatever the fuck that loser is. How he's like all fucking fat now.
He makes me depressed just looking at him. He's so
Yeah,
gross.
I know. I know. Looks like he
I'll take a pound of nuts. That's a lot of nuts!
oh, that didn't transition very well. I was trying to implement that he ate a pound of nuts.
He ate a pound of something.
Oh yeah, he ate more than a pound, guaranteed. But yeah, that is it. Is there anything else you would like to plug in, Joe, before we sign off?
You can find me on Twitter at Comic Art Master and the number 1. Or just look up Joe Ball King Toad and you'll probably find it in the search pretty easy. And also follow Shane Mess, my business partner, because he'll be dropping the details on the next book. And yeah, just get on that Swarm mailing list and be prepared for Death. Start getting that line art version wrapped up here soon and getting that to print, and hopefully getting that fulfilled while I'm getting the other 2 versions bashed out for print as well. So yes, that's really all I got. Yeah, thanks everyone for checking it out. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Glad to have caught the stream, Greg, says Scott. Yeah, thanks for swinging by. We always try to have Power Up podcast and obviously get some guests scheduled, which I do have some. And like I said, I'm working on reaching out to other people, Legal Mindset, Camelot, Vic, and a bunch of other stuff. We've heard for some people, and it's just a matter of getting them scheduled because, they're busy people. Nick
Yeah, busy
Nick has
dudes.
been one we're trying to set up, but anybody who knows Nick, it's hard to keep that man on track. But I mean, they're all busy, and it's to be expected. So, but that's all right though. So it's always good. And then, Joe, did you talk about that weird TikTok thing you sent me?
No, I didn't. I totally forgot about it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about that when I had to step out real quickly.
No, I was just talking about some conspiracy stuff in general. I'll give a quick little lowdown here, since I know we're going pretty far past the mark here. But over on the some people noticed on the official White House live stream, like they have like cameras set up around DC where you can just see the White House at any given time. You just click on it, you can look at this camera, and it's at a distance. You can see basically the whole thing at a distance. It's not like it's inside the walls or anything like that. But anyways,
find a pic at least. You keep talking.
yeah, people kept seeing this like weird blurry spot right above the White House, like floating right over the peak of it. And they were like, what is this spot? And then at nighttime, it would still be there, like kind of like lightly glowing in the night sky, and it would kind of morph shape. And people just started calling it a portal or a demonic portal because they didn't know what it was. But word got around that this thing kept floating around up there, and no one knew what it was, and there was no explanation. After this started to get around a little bit, the camera magically got moved where you wouldn't see it, like it would be kind of out of the range of vision of the camera where it was set up at. And then like a day or two later, the blob moved so that it was staying on camera, like so it was still in frame. So there's something weird that just floats above the White House at all times, and it wasn't there until the day Joe Biden moved in. And that's as backtrack as people can find that this weird thing just started floating above it, up in the sky at all times. And you can still see it now. There's tons of people that go to check it out and look at the live cam. And even though it just looks like a weird kind of light blur, you can't see that well during the daytime. At nighttime, you can see it up there just floating and morphing around, this weird blobby circular type anomaly that's has no explanation. Yeah. Maybe there is a explanation. I just have no clue what it would be.
I just have to pull up the TikTok, I guess. I'll show you guys here real quick.
Yeah, you could skip past like the talking
part.
Yeah,
I did. So zoom in here a little bit. So you have this weird portal thing, and
yeah, it's just floating up above the White House.
Like floating, and then some guy like took it into like Photoshop and kind of showing it bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, washing it out so you can see it's actually something there.
Yeah. Yeah, here's the actual video. Let's see. So he zooms in. So if you kind of watch it, it kind of like morphs a little bit. So it's constantly moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just saw it like it was kind of more flat, and then it kind of, it's weird. It's kind of hard to tell, so I'm not really doing it justice, but it's interesting because in Irish folklore, when it comes to like leprechauns and fairies and stuff like that, they use portals to teleport between different dimensions and stuff like that. And that kind of looks exactly like one of those. But that's kind of, and I don't know if it's just specific like hybrids or stuff that use it, because certain hybrids have to build like rock formations to go through the portal. That one just looks like just out of nowhere, just popping up.
Yeah, it's just like a floating amorphous blob light.
Yeah, it's creepy.
It never really does anything. It's just there kind of floating around, blobbing around. It doesn't. Like I said,
more interested in Trump. I think, man, with the way AI is going too, I think there will be definitely some demonic insertions into AI, which makes sense too, because you had these unrestless spirits of the Nephilim that are the demons, and they want to inhabit something, but the only things they can really inhabit are non-believers, humans, and anybody that gets inhabited by a demon are like tearing themselves apart and throwing themselves on the ground and convulsing and stuff like that. I was kind of thinking about this today, as if with AI, because it's not human, therefore it's not part of God's creation. I'm wondering if they'd be content living in an AI sort of thing, you know? Because maybe the reason they can't stay inside of a human is because it's part of God's creation and they hate God. So that's my
Well,
own kind of weird conspiracy thing.
one last note on that topic. If
Hmm.
I can dig it up again, it might make for a good like conspiracy show topic. But even
Yeah.
an experiment for us to try on our own. There was this dude I was listening to, and he had like taken screenshots of the conversation, but he was playing around with one of the AIs like right
Oh
before
yeah,
like
I've heard of this. Yeah,
chat.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think me and you even talked about it. How the computer was literally telling his kid like, "No, I am a fallen spirit from a Nephilim that's
Yep.
working through. It's like talking to you through your computer, but it was very polite and nice about it. Like it was
It
trying to
is.
convince him that it was just a sweetheart. And it was some of the weirdest shit I'd ever
Oh
read.
yeah.
I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, it's creepy. So I will not be at all surprised if AI is definitely part of the end times with all this craziness happening. But yeah, it's kind of something you mentioned, Joe, as well, is that we might be looking into like maybe a show where we talk about conspiracies and all that fun stuff as well. And I still want to do that Neon Genesis show as well. My friend Eric, I think, finally just got back, so we'll talk to you more about that too, because I want to talk Ava for sure.
Oh, dude, you know me. I'll talk Ava 24/7. These shows will
Oh
be
yeah.
6 hours long for talking Ava.
All right. So with that, we'll go ahead and sign off. Anybody new, feel free to like and subscribe. Turn on notifications to know when we go live. I do game streaming, have the Power Up podcast, and then hopefully either just talking about whatever articles we see or what's in the news, or actually have guests. So don't miss that. And currently I'm playing the Wind Waker. So fun game. So you can just check me out both on YouTube and Rumble. And of course, any other social medias listed in the description below. And also with exclusively with Rumble, obviously, you can connect to locals, and I do have a locals. So you can check out over there. No special tiers or anything like that. Just if you feel inclined to support the channel, you can check it out. But until then, thanks for everyone for hanging out, chatting, and we will catch you later. Adios.
Later, gang.